Sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me out, hear me out. If all the things you never show, there are the things I want to know. Secrets die in your heart to slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know. Losing almost all my energy. It's getting hard to talk to you, and I'm the only one who speaks. It's all the things you never show. There are the things I want to know. Secrets die in your heart to slow. But if you don't want to tell me now, I guess I'll never know.
Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the live. Sorry, we're always, just remember we're always about 5 minutes fashionably late. And of course, Aspen's in the house, Charmaine's in the house, Ivy Rose is in the house, Travis, he's not in the house, but it's his wife's birthday today. So wishing his wife a happy birthday. And Travis offered to come on, but honestly, for the most part, we're going to be briefly going over this. We know that other people have done lives with this throughout the day, and Defense Diaries is on at the time, but we just wanted Travis to enjoy his wife's birthday, really. This is pretty, I'll say, simplistic. Nothing, I mean, it was news we were waiting for. But anyways, happy birthday to your wife, Travis, and happy eggnogging as well. Which I need to get me a glass in just a little bit. Totally forgot about that, to be honest with you. I was racing around, a little disorganized tonight, not gonna lie, myself. But anyways, welcome you guys. Talking to you guys, by the way.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Good. Hey Ivy, hey Charmaine.
Hello.
Hi. Happy
Hey,
birthday, Travis's wife.
Yeah. On there. So again, lots of this stuff has been going on throughout the day. Poor Frank Meister. Frank, sorry about your modem there, dude. Frank was going to do a live as well, but unfortunately he said his modem, he has to wait till Wednesday to get a new one on there. So that sucks, right? About to go do a live and then that happens, so he's going to be in here, I guess. The wife says, thank you. Travis, yeah.
Travis's wife deserves a really big birthday present for being married to a trial attorney.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Oh my God.
Ask my ex. No, I'm kidding. Almost.
You were almost a lawyer.
I'm almost as annoying. No, I'm kidding. At least arguing with.
I was gonna say he showed me his dinner. I think there was I don't do seafood, but I'm pretty sure it was clams. It was clams and green beans and stuff like that. It was it looked good. But I'm pretty sure that those were clams or little oyster things or what oysters, maybe they were oysters. Those little things that open up and look like a, like a powdering thing.
Right.
So,
with diamonds in them.
Definitely pearls.
Sorry, yes, that's what I meant.
Pearls. Yeah. On there tonight. Okay. So like I said, we're gonna briefly go over this and we'll go over the second one a bit more, obviously. Because this one here is simply basically denying it because Fran Golid, already basically, I guess, everything was pretty much muted about going forward. But anyways, Ivy, feel free, Ivy.
Okay. Right, so it says, Richard Allen has petitioned this court under the rules of procedure for original actions for a writ of mandamus and prohibition. He requests that we, 1, order the trial court to reinstate several court records as publicly accessible documents on the chronological case summary, aka CCS, in the electronic case file. 2, prohibit the trial court from ordering the removal of any court records filed in this case from the CCS and the electronic case file. And 3, prohibit the trial court from excluding from public access any court records without complying with the requirements of our rules on access to court records, aka the ACR rules. Allen argues our intervention is necessary because the trial court has failed to perform the clear absolute duty imposed by our rules to ensure public access to court records. We first explain why Allen has failed to show that our intervention is warranted, and we then provide guidance about the requirements in our ACR rules. Original actions are viewed with disfavor and may not be used as substitutes for appeals. Indiana Original Action Rule 1C. Because a writ is an extraordinary remedy, we will not issue a writ unless the party seeking relief can show a clear and obvious emergency where the failure of this court to act will result in substantial injustice. Allen has not made the requisite showing here. The requests that prompts this petition have largely been resolved and thus mooted by the trial court's order entered on November 14th, 2023. This order directed the trial court or the trial clerk to take specific action. 1, placing the CCS 118 individual documents that were previously made remotely accessible by the court order in June of 2023. And 2, unsealing 2 filings from June and July of 2023 and placing them on the CCS. And 3, placing pleadings that Allen's former counsel filed in October of 2023 on the CCS and making them accessible to the public. Along with reinstating these excluded documents to the CCS, the November 14th order reflects the court's intention to comply with the ACR rules going forward. If there are any remaining concerns about access to court records here, interested parties should first seek relief in the trial court and then pursue an appeal if necessary. We now take this opportunity to clarify the requirements in our ACR rules. I think this is one of the more important parts. Which recognize the strong societal reasons for allowing public access to court records. Indiana Access to Court Records Rule 1 Commentary. The ACR rules presume the public will have open access to court records with limited exceptions. Those exceptions are found in Rule 5, which identifies 2 types of records that are excluded from public access. First, Rule 5A sets out several categories of entire cases excluded from public access, including when either statute or court rule requires the records to be treated as confidential. For these records, exclusion from public access is automatic and no other notice is required. Second, Rule 5B sets out 13 types of individual case records excluded from public access. For records falling under this rule, documents must be filed as confidential and include an ACR form identifying the specific basis for the exclusion, which I think is one of the big things that Kara and the other attorneys were complaining about. Aside from these 2 exceptions, Rule 6 permits a trial court to exclude otherwise public court records from public access only in extraordinary circumstances and by following the rules process. That process requires any person affected by the release of court record to make a written request to prohibit public access, which must give notice to the parties and allow them 20 days to respond. And before trial court excludes the requested record, it must hold a public hearing and issue a written order explaining why it is granting the request. ACR Rules 6C through D, we expect all Indiana courts to comply with these rules. The justices of this court have reviewed the briefs and other filed materials and conferred with each other. Because Allen bore the burden to persuade this court to issue a writ and he has not done so, the petition is denied. This disposition is final. No petitions for rehearing or motions to reconsider shall be filed in this original action.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Sean, there, Ivy, for doing that. So, I mean, go ahead, Ivy. Your take on that is simply
that they denied it, but but I think they felt that there were things that weren't done correctly, but
Right.
that most of them were fixed.
Yeah, and moving forward type of thing,
Right.
you know, follow the process basically.
Yes, and if there was
That's
something else that they wanted to go through the lower courts and then appeal it if they don't get the answer they want.
Right, which would be the appropriate process anyway.
Yeah.
And that's the same take I had. I think that, it's funny because I thought that if either of the writs had more of a chance of getting granted, it would have been the first one. But then the November 14th thing changed that a little bit. But I think that they absolutely were setting. They were making their intentions known. To goal as far as this is how you need to behave in the future.
Yeah.
And this is what we expect. But I thought, that it was important that they said that, that it didn't serve it, that them not ruling on it, wasn't of a consequential thing when it came to injustice. And I think that's true. I think the second writ is the one that holds a lot more weight.
Yeah. What about you, Charmaine?
Yeah, same. Absolutely. Like Travis said earlier today, it basically says verbatim what Maggie had said in her filing. So the Princess of fucking Darkness was right on. Right?
Yeah. On there. Okay. So I'm gonna take down this one now.
Let me add one thing real quick.
Sure,
before you
absolutely.
flip. I feel like this is a good example of I don't know if it was just about the attorneys. I think we've talked about some other things where it comes up where people go back and forth about was the procedure followed, and stuff like this been discussed along those lines. And I think for me at least, this is a perfect example of how giving a good reason for making those records confidential and sealed is not enough. That there are specific procedures you have to go through. So for this one, it was somebody who's affected has to request it. And then there's a notice that goes out, and then everybody has 20 days to respond, and there has to be a hearing and all these things. And that's the part where I think people get lost. And if they believe that there was a good reason to do it, that it's okay. But that's not how it works. And that's what drives me crazy. It's that part. The part that probably everybody else thinks is very boring.
Well, I was going to say we each have our things that we're better at than others and stuff like that. Not only is Ivy beautiful, but she's very smart as well. I'm pretty sure that Charmaine still got brown on her nose from thinking that she's an A+ student over there, aren't you?
Because I'm the most beginner, so
yeah,
I'm the most it's been so long since I got a school award. The most the most improved.
The most achieved. Yeah.
Most improved.
Yeah.
Thanks for participating.
Yeah.
I want my ribbon.
Yeah. It's just an honor having you.
I'm sure.
It says like Todd Rokita will represent the state's case now. So, okay, so let's go over to this one here. Let me just take this off the screen, and I'll just make it bigger for a second here. On there, I know you can't see this, but this is from the I'm not sure exactly Weineke Law Office, and so this was sent to me by both Adam and Charmaine on there. Who wants to read this one?
Charmaine,
go ahead, almost lawyer.
Come on, Charmaine. We're going to let you and Ivy read them tonight.
Okay, which one is it? Notice of hearing?
Notice of hearing.
All right.
I mean, if you're busy, I can do it, I guess.
So I've got a minute here. So notice of hearing. The Supreme Court will hear oral arguments on the relator's second application for writ of mandamus and prohibition in state, whatever that is, Allen, 23 SOR 311 on January 18th, 2024 at 11 a.m. Relator seeks a writ from this court reinstating his former counsel, setting trial within 70 days, and removing the trial judge and appointing a special judge. The argument will be conducted in the courtroom of the Indiana Supreme Court, 317 State House, 200 West Washington Street, Indianapolis, Indiana. The argument will be 60 minutes, equally divided between relator and the parties opposing the writ. Any entity granted amicus curiae status may argue without further motion, but only with the consent of the party with whom the amicus curiae is substantially aligned. The relator shall open the argument and may conclude the argument by reserving part of the relator's time for rebuttal before beginning the argument, notwithstanding original action R4C, appearance by the respondents or counsel is required. Attorneys of record shall file an acknowledgement of the hearing no later than 5 days after service of this order and should arrive at least 20 minutes before the scheduled start of the argument to complete an appearance form. Done at Indianapolis, Indiana on today. Signed, Loretta H. Rush. Chief
Okay, and
Justice.
so 1 second, Adam. So for amicus curiae, it says that is an individual or organization who is not a party to the legal case, but who is permitted to assist a court by offering information, expertise, or insight that has a bearing on the issues in the case. Whether an amicus brief will be considered is typically under the court's discretion. So anyway, for amicus, I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right, amicus curiae, just for people that's exactly what that means.
Yeah, friend of the court, I believe.
Yeah. Now, let's see. So wait a second here.
That's exciting. Frank is going to be going to the Supreme Court hearing.
Yeah.
And it's live streamed as well. And I've watched quite a few Supreme Court hearings, and they're fascinating. They're so much different than a regular trial court. I love it myself.
Yeah. And hey, guys, welcome to the live. Hey, Peace Train. Frank, yeah, I just saw that, Frank. Good on you, buddy. Okay. Adam, do you want to read this part of it?
I thought Charmaine was reading this.
Charmaine, continue.
I talked all day.
It was a one-parter. Adam, you talked while you were doing hair. That's not the same thing.
Oh, okay. It's because I'm on the tweet. That's why.
What is it? What is this?
I'm on the tweet. Weineke's tweet.
Yeah. So what this was, I just sent it to Sunny because
I've never seen
it
this.
It was Kara, who is listed on the writ. Her law firm released this little breakdown, which I thought was easy to understand. But for anyone that's a little confused on what the procedural part of what will happen on the 18th, she basically broke it down and it says when and where. The hearing is set for January 18th, 2024 at 11 a.m. in the Supreme Court, 317 State House, Indianapolis. Who will argue, which will be Mark Lehman. So everyone add another lawyer to your list that you have to remember the name of. Mark Lehman will be arguing for Richard Allen. As co-counsel, I will be helping to prepare Mark for the oral argument. I will also be there in court taking notes and providing any help I can to Mark. The procedure itself will be the hearing is essentially an oral argument. Under Indiana Original Action Rule 4B, neither party is permitted to present testimony or offer evidence. Instead, parties are to make arguments based on the record of proceedings filed in the action. We, as counsel for the realtor, will argue first. If the judge's counsel chooses to appear, and my guess is they will, mine too, Kara, they will argue second. If we choose to reserve time for the final word, and we likely will, I figured you would, Kara, we will argue last. Both sides will receive the same amount of time overall, 30 minutes each. We are confined to the arguments we made in our respective filings, but it will not simply be a speech. Instead, the justices will ask us questions to flesh out our arguments and to ask any questions they have before they make a decision. Who is permitted to attend? Everyone other than Frank Meister. Oh, sorry, that's not no. The courtroom is generally open to the public, but seating is very limited. Recently, the Supreme Court held oral arguments on a challenge to Indiana's new right to life law. I don't know if that word triggers it or not. And only 50 members of the public were able to attend. Those attending were required to request a ticket early that morning and stand in a queue to determine whether they would receive a seat. I am expecting the court to use the same procedure here. There will likely also be a live stream of the proceedings just outside the courtroom. Just outside the courtroom? Or you can save yourself a trip and watch the live stream from the Indiana Supreme Court's website. Richard Allen will not be transported to the court. When we expect a decision, and this is the part that I found the most interesting, and it's the part that I think a lot of people are going to not remember or realize, because I think a lot of people are going to expect there to be a decision that day,
Right.
and there won't be.
Right.
Most likely. When we can expect a decision, your guess is as good as mine. Hearings and original actions are very rare, so the fact that one has been set is encouraging. Also, Indiana's appellate court system is one of the most efficient in the country, and time is of the essence in this case. Whether we can seek rehearing if the writ is denied, no, we cannot. Petitions for rehearing or motions to reconsider are not permitted after the original action is concluded. Guess it wouldn't be original then. But yeah, I know if anyone follows the U.S. Supreme Court, they can take 6 months to issue, issue their a decision on something. Indiana's not going to take nearly that much time, but sadly, for anyone that thinks they're going to have an answer to this quickly, January 18th is already in itself over a month away, and then even if it takes them 2 weeks to issue their decision, we're looking at February before we have any solution or answer to what we've been talking about now since November.
Mm-hmm.
So buckle up.
Yeah. Well, it's gonna take a while, like anything. I was hoping it wasn't I was hoping everything was gonna be kind of decided before Christmas.
Nope.
But
It's funny because what did I send you this morning, Sonny? When I was like, the Indiana Supreme Court's like, see you next year.
Yeah.
And later that.
Well,
the day this comes out.
I know. I had said that too. It's probably going to happen in the new year. But then I was kind of thinking that, that was just me hopefully kind of wishing that, we could get over some of this stuff. But, that it would, they say the new year. But I was kind of hopefully wishing that it would happen before Christmas. That everything would be kind of decided. And then, come the new year, move on. We know who's representing Richard Allen in a sense, and if Frank Gall stays or goes and stuff like that. So, just more of the paperwork train and wait and see what happens, Anybody, so Charmaine or Ivy, got anything that you guys want to add to
Check
this?
them all out. All of them. Just restart the whole thing.
Right?
I agree. 100%.
Okay,
I
I'll
agree.
leave.
Except Adam. We need his
Oh,
reading.
you didn't mean us.
Oh, not you guys. No.
Let me see here on there. But yeah, Charmaine, did you have anything that you wanted to add to it, or anybody in the chat before we move on? Or
Really, just that, like I said, it's absolutely fascinating too, because you can get a really good feel for what the judges are kind of thinking, I guess, based on the questions that they're asking the attorneys, and it's very spontaneous. Like, these lawyers have to know their stuff when they go in there. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, all good.
I'm hoping I lost my train of thought in the middle of that sentence. Dang it. Totally lost it.
Sure.
If anybody knows about stats of Supreme Court, just for funsies, I would be interested to know how many original actions are granted a hearing from once the people try to get in. How often do they actually do that?
It's between 5 and 15%.
No, really?
Very, very
I am
rare.
impressed with your having an answer to that.
Well, I can't promise that's true, but it's what I said.
I can make up it there. Okay.
It sounded good, right? No, I think that's what I heard.
So
that's a huge point that Travis is making too. This is precedent setting because it's unheard of here, right? So this is so important. That's why I think it's going to take a very long time. These judges are going to consider every syllable of every word that's said to them on
Well,
the
Right.
18th.
Sorry,
now
Sam.
they're going to have a case that they can use from Indiana.
That's right. Exactly. And that's what it's about. And
Yeah.
and that's why it's going to take, I think it's probably going to take a while, but it's
Right.
definitely a big, big deal.
It'll be very precedent setting. I mean, it'll be something that probably affects. I mean, this case in itself is going to be taught in law schools in Indiana for the foreseeable future. But this is going to be something. And I asked Bob Mata this question one time when I was in a live he was on, and he touched on it. But I mean, I felt all along that the weight of the second one. One of the things that makes it so heavy or makes it have so much weight is not only the effect it has on this case specifically, but compared to the first writ, which they denied, this original action is going to have far more reaching, consequences for other cases. And I think one of the things that's really fascinating too about when something's argued in front of the Supreme Court is because each side has such a limited amount of time. It takes away a lot of the fanciful language and like just like superlatives and all the other things that lawyers like to use when making their points, and it really makes them utilize their time very wisely. But I think you get the brass tacks pretty quickly. Sorry.
Somebody earlier today on a different show said that 30 minutes is a long time, but it's in this situation, it's really not, because the conversation is going and the questions are coming, and 30 minutes it's really not all that long.
Right.
It'll go by really, really quickly, especially if the questions aren't geared towards what the attorney is trying to, the point that they want to drive home. If the judge is kind of stuck on something that, do you know what I'm saying? It can go sideways really quickly.
It's almost like defending your dissertation. Like you have to be ready for it.
Exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. And you have to know everything that you've said and your reasoning behind it, and not get caught up on your words, or, it's huge. It's going to be
you
great.
can't add all the other stuff in that is not in what you filed. And that's what I think it makes it so interesting, is because, lawyers like to add all these things that, to get the result they want. But in this, I mean, we pretty much have all of the material that these lawyers are going to be arguing in front of the judges, because they've all been made in motions and filings. So we all have the ingredients that they're going to be using to make these arguments.
Right.
Well, you like that word lately, don't you?
I do.
I know, because you know why? I remember when my twin sister did this resume, and she said something like, and the ingredients is the key to any or whatever it was, and it was one of those things where it was like, ooh, and then you've used it, I think, at least 3 times.
Yeah. Well, it's just something that everyone can connect and identify with, because you're tossing everything in to see what you can make. And
can you make eggnog with it?
Sometimes things taste good, sometimes they taste bad.
I'd like to throw in just a tip, because you said resume building. If it's too wordy, we don't read it, just so you know.
Just
the
tip,
Charmaine. Just the
tip.
I was going to say, just so you know, really, cover letters really don't exist anymore.
No, we read cover letters, but if they're way too wordy, and if the resume is like 16 pages, top to bottom, no thanks.
Well, to be honest, if I actually did up a resume with everything from when I was younger to now, it would probably be about 16 pages, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've moved around, worked around, and many things 3 times at the same time and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah. And then still nobody really likes my resume, it seems like.
Travis, they did 60 minutes, though. Each side has 30 minutes. So that's what I mean. This is going to be fascinating to watch this.
Frosty.
And the material that they're going off of, I mean, there was the 22-page filing, and then a 23-page filing, and maybe another 22-page response to the response.
Yeah.
So a lot of the time is probably going to be the judges asking questions.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got a report, and nobody quote me on this. This is just how I'm taking what I'm like skimming through. And it looks like it goes maybe between like June or July from 2022 to June or July 2023. There was 27 original actions, and none of them got an oral argument.
Mm-hmm. This is huge. This is
Yeah.
huge.
You know,
Well-
and I have to say, you know, I think that a lot of people that I'm sorry, son. Did you want to, did I cut you
No,
off?
no, I said no. All I said was that yeah, this is going to be very interesting to see how to see how this all plays out and yeah, precedents and stuff like that.
I personally think that that this is absolutely the best and most fair thing that they could have done. Mainly because I think that what's going to happen now is that for people that believe that Judge Gull acted inappropriately and that she needs to be removed and that Andrew Baldwin and Brad Rosie need to be reinstated, they're going to, for the next month, take this kind of as a victory. And they're going to think that this is something that, shows clearly, that the Supreme Court is going to rule in their favor. Whereas I think had they denied the writ, I think there's a portion of people that would have automatically assumed that the Supreme Court was corrupt or that they can't be trusted either and that this is a travesty.
Yeah.
So I think the fact that this is going to be heard in the court and that it's going to be decided on by the Supreme Court is the absolute most fair thing that could happen.
The fact that we can hear the arguments and the questions asked, I think will be very good.
I think this is honestly, this is some kind of a win for defense. It's a small win, but they're still moving forward. So you have to consider that they will consider that as a win. And I don't think they're wrong. I honestly
think it's a win for justice.
Thought it was going to be the opposite. I thought that the first one was pretty straightforward. Of course, you need to keep the record better. Of course, that's going to be approved. And the second one, I just thought it was too gray because there was no precedent set. But I'm looking forward to it.
Right. And Travis, that's not something I've heard anyone say. I don't think anyone has thought this would be a victory for Gull. I think it's important that, like it's being heard so that, it'll take away the naysayers if then the court rules to keep Gull, to, keep Baldwin and Rosie off. I think it'll be much more of a difficult argument for people to say that it wasn't fair or that it, was corrupt. And I don't know the answer to this, but Travis would. With the Supreme Court agreeing to make this decision, will that affect the ability for this to be brought up in an appeal later? Because wouldn't they then have to? So I'd like to know that. Like, what does that do to the appeal chances later?
I think on these issues, I think it would have to if the Supreme Court's already ruled.
Well, but on the other one, they denied it, but in the whatever you call it, like little write-up, it said if you still have a problem with these other things that haven't been like taken up, then take it to the trial court and then appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So would that be the same?
Well, they said that they chose not to hear that argument, which means it can be appealed later through a lower court. But I'm thinking because I'm curious because they are agreeing to hear oral arguments for this and they'll make it a ruling on it. Will that take away, the ability to appeal, at least on this issue later?
It didn't sink in my head that they didn't just deny it, that they didn't hear it.
Yeah.
So that was...
Yeah, it wasn't that they disagreed with it or denied it. It's that they just chose that it wasn't appropriate for them to hear it.
Right. And in any case, like I said, this is like it or not, this is definitely a small victory for the defense. And because things are still moving forward, because once the Supreme Court rules, it's the end of it. And I think, and I'm probably wrong here, but in my eyes, I think that the reason why they want to hear more on it is because of how many issues within that writ are would make it available for appeal later. Like they want to do this right. That's what I think, but I
Right.
don't.
I think what Travis said is something that I wouldn't have thought about, but is a very interesting thing to think about. He said that for this to be happening means the court is at least 3 out of the 5 wanted to hear each side. So I guess they
Right.
vote on whether they want to hear
Right.
oral
Right.
arguments. So that's an interesting thing to think about.
Yeah, where did he say that? Right here, I think. What it means is that the court is split right now, and 3 of the 5 want to hear from each side.
Right. And I think it's you know, it's the best thing that can happen for justice because, like I said, I think it takes away the logical people that would, you know, like think that this was unfair, because at least now, I mean, we're all gonna like see what the, you know, we're gonna
Yeah.
see it, and the court will decide. Whereas I know that if, you know, they had just denied hearing the oral
Yeah.
argument for that one, there would have been a group of
But
people that were
kind of like an
it's
uproar
corrupt, it's
and-
corrupt.
Yeah. But
And
I,
it doesn't matter what happens. There's always going to be those people out there, right?
That's why
They're
it's
gonna-
logical.
Yeah. Fair
Like-
enough.
I feel like this is the fairest thing going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, to be honest
Right.
with you.
And
I-
so important.
Yeah.
So important. So I think it's great. It's a good day. Maybe a
It's
bad
great.
day for the judge, but a good day for justice.
Sure, for justice, exactly. And
And that's what we're
that's all you want, right? You just want everything to be fair on the up and up in a sense, and do things the right way, proper protocol. I mean, there's rules for a reason. You know, there's always exceptions to every rule for something,
Right.
but for the most part, you know, procedures in place and all that stuff. And, you know, kind of like that they went above and they should have, you know, went to the lower courts first, for what their first original action was it. But anyways, I'm happy. I'm happy with the decision.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we can live stream this, I think it said too, right?
Yeah, and you know, even for Judge Gull, I mean, if the court rules, you know, that she stays on, you know, it's going to, you know, set a precedent for her legacy as a judge as well, because,
Oh, yeah.
you know, no one wants, you know, just like Brad Rosie and Andrew Baldwin don't want the stain of this case or what's happened in this case on their careers. Neither does Gull. So I think
Well,
it's
she's
the
kind of
best
been
thing
like-
for everyone involved.
She's kind of in a bigger lose situation.
Who, Gull?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in this case,
But I
probably
mean, I
did.
feel like she's not purposely,
No.
No.
you know what I
She probably
mean? So
hates
it's a
you guys
learning
these
curve for her
days.
too. And that just goes to show you, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can always learn something new.
right.
Yeah.
Now,
Really?
what if there's another wrench thrown into it all, and she just recuses herself for health?
That's what I kind of thought was going to happen.
I do
No, I don't
too,
think
and
so.
I still do. I think that she is, I refer to women like Fran Gull as a queen bee, and they do not back down. She will see this through no matter how long it takes. And then if she needs to recuse herself, that's when she's going to do it. But she's going to see this thing through. She's not going to back down, because she wouldn't have made those rulings and stuff or decisions if she didn't think she was right.
Right. And Travis, I think a lot of people are going to agree that, you know, that feel that same way. But the truth of the matter is, and Travis knows this as a lawyer, no one knows what the Supreme Court's going to decide except for the Supreme Court. So whatever they decide, I'll support.
Me too. And no matter what's happened in the past, like I said, she, to me, is a queen bee. She has she has earned her way onto the bench. So she deserves a high amount of respect from people who haven't done that. So everybody makes mistakes, and this might be one of them. And she's going to see it through and make personal choices based on her life, not on this. My opinion. Write that down.
I'm sitting there trying to message my husband. Baby, can you give me some eggnog, please? Any rum or Baileys?
Travis has lots.
Right.
I know that's why he's like, I keep reading his things and I'm like, okay, I need to get on this. So I'm just like, husband, it's pretty pathetic when I message my husband to the living room, right? But if he's not busy, he can do it. But yesterday I kept sending him messages and he's like, what? You sent me a message? Okay. What does Shelly say? Could they have sent it to the appellate court first with Gall being the senior appellate judge? What's that
Well,
mean?
no, something can't go to the appellate court until an appeal has been filed, and the only way before a verdict's been reached to do it would be an interlock. How do you say that word? Interlocutory.
Yeah, interlocutor. Yeah.
So that the appellate court is there to hear appeals.
And even if they could,
I'll be right back, guys.
Surely the same judge can't judge on appeals on like decisions they made, right?
Well, I mean,
No, you know what? And I don't know if it's the same in Indiana, but okay, let's talk West Memphis 3 for a little bit. Judge Burnett ruled on that case for decades. Well, not decades, but like 15 years before he was elected to office, I believe. And so he was finally replaced. And that's the only time that things started to be approved and granted and move the case forward to simply just test DNA that was never tested.
That's crazy to me.
But it was the same. Of course, he was upholding his own rulings for.
They should have to recuse themselves. That's ridiculous.
They would. And then the whole movement, whether you believe the West Memphis 3 are innocent or whatever, but that whole free the West Memphis 3 movement, it kind of it shot the judge and the LE and everybody else in the foot, because once Judge Burnett was eligible to go into office, they started this campaign, and guess what? The entire free the West Memphis 3 bandwagon voted for that judge to get elected into office, and he won. So, and then within 3 years, they were pleading guilty to, oh man, Alfred pleas. That's what it was. So, I mean, yeah, in Arkansas, anyways, I know for sure that the trial judge is the one that takes on all the appeals and everything else.
There are some backwards. There's some backwards laws and things in place and procedures in place in our country still, but nothing. It takes new laws to change them. So
in Oklahoma, I think it is illegal to kill a whale on like some weird day or something like that. That always makes me think of those like
there's so many whales in Oklahoma.
In Newfoundland and Canada, it's illegal to harpoon a whale from a bridge.
Maybe I think
you're more likely to encounter a whale in Newfoundland than you are Oklahoma.
Yeah, we don't have whales.
Fair enough. But I've got a criminal code from like 2006, and it's actually in there. It's when I was in criminal justice. I'm telling you, some of the laws in there blow your mind.
Travis says Judge Gull could not be on appellate court and review a case that she was a trial judge on. Automatic recusal. Thank you, Travis.
I mean, that makes sense. But if you look up the West Memphis 3 or Damian Eccles, actually specifically, and Jason Baldwin's case, Judge Burnett heard every single appeal, and denied every one of them.
Oh, back. Travis. Got my eggnog and my Baileys.
The thing is, like, if this doesn't really apply as much to Delphi at this moment, but if everything you've done is on the up and up, like, why does it bother you so much to like have people look at what you ruled on again? Like, if they're really guilty,
it shouldn't. I mean, every decision and action should be able to be held up to
scrutiny. Absolutely.
And and I think that's one of the most important things in our justice system, is that there are checks and balances put in place for a reason with that, just like there are in politics. But doesn't mean that people don't make mistakes, but hopefully the like appellate courts and things like that and the Supreme Court is there to help correct those mistakes if they are made.
Yeah.
But I agree, everything should be everything should be held up to scrutiny.
Mhm. 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 Okay, is there you guys just quickly, is there anything else that you guys want to say before we move on?
Nope.
Oh, besides I got my eggnog. Thank you. Yeah.
I'm gonna skip past. I just put it in chat, but I'm gonna skip past what you said about the West Memphis Three. We could debate, but nah.
Mhm.
I didn't say they were innocent. I'm saying, where's the evidence? It's not there.
Where's the evidence for what? Wait, what? Who's sending you? What?
The West Memphis Three.
What about
Miranda
it?
said we should probably do a show on the West Memphis Three, and you said it would always be those people. Do you think? Does that mean you thought they were guilty?
That was a whole comment towards somebody. Miranda saying something about someone said something in a post about me. Was it the fat ass comment that little douche made? I don't care. So that was
Oh,
towards that. So that's why I was
oh,
confused.
okay. I thought because she said the West Memphis Three, and then right after that, you answered her by saying, "Thank you, Miranda." And nope, don't care. Always will be those people. So
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about. My bad. Move
No,
on.
no.
I'll
That
mute myself.
I yeah. I mean, honestly, if people are talking about me in a negative or bad way, don't care whatsoever, to be honest with you. That stuff never bothers me. In fact, it's actually quite laughable and funny because if people need to do that, then, that just shows who they are. So it doesn't matter to me, that
Did
stuff.
I say it? I'm kidding.
Yeah, you know what? I'm pretty sure it was you that said that. Yeah, on there. And little dude should know what copyright means too as well. Go play back in the sandbox where you belong. But anyways, moving on. Um anyways, moving on. So what I wanted to talk about tonight was, well, first of all, the Daily Mail offering a substantial amount for the discovery. Now, Adam, we talked about this before on the live, and you guys all know about the thumb
Right.
drive map or whatever that was sent to Brandon Woodhouse. Now, I remember back when we were talking about it, you know, I believed more he was being truthful, and you felt, and
Yes.
others, that it wasn't, that it was just the map of it
Right.
on there. So again,
And I still don't know 100% if it was not edited.
correct. And a lot of people think that it was edited and different things, and Brandon puts up videos, then he takes them down and does different things. But I kind of forgot about that, to be honest. Until last night, and well, it just so happened that I was revisiting all of Brandon's, went to go watch all his videos, and I did. I sat there and I just listened all night to his videos, and I was like, oh right, because I forgot that I had, I forgot about that whole conversation, really, because we've talked about that thumb drive map, and it's been going around the whole different thing and all the different evidence leaks and stuff like that. So just to ask you guys before I play anything, you guys, at this point, does anyone believe that discovery was put out there to Brandon Woodhouse?
No,
And give me 1 second.
No.
I don't at all. Not even a
I
little
mean,
bit.
I agree. I think that, I think some sort of index file, I mean, they said even in the court papers that did not contain vital information, which to me that would mean discovery. And they didn't even clarify that it wasn't. It could have been a defense written index. It's not. It might have been an index that the defense team used to describe the discovery. It's not even the official discovery that we
That's
know
right.
of.
I think that they would have put it in one of the filings if it had been.
Me same. And
Yeah.
and they went as far to say that it wasn't consequential
Yeah.
information.
Right.
And Judge Gold called it a defense product.
Right.
I have a question, just backing up while Sunny's busy. Can I ask Travis a question?
Right.
Because, yeah, well, Anna's question that's up here, this is a really good question, but I'm wondering further to this, if that were to happen, would she finish out this case? Like, say the judge is kept on and the attorneys go away. would she have to finish this case out before taking an appointment to a higher court? Or yes, is that for me, Travis?
She'd have to wait. Yeah. She'd have to wait for there to be an opening.
No, I'm saying if there was an opening and she did get appointed during this this proceeding, I think this is still considered the proceedings. She would have to see it over to the end. I think he said yes. I'm not sure if he said yes.
It would probably have a negative effect if she didn't.
Yeah, well,
on the appointment.
For sure. Like, she's going to yeet herself out of there. See ya, I gotta go.
So, like, now I can rule on.
Yeah, let me get in there and rule on this.
Right.
She would immediately move her to the court and appoint another judge. See, and that's what I was asking. That's what I thought. Wow.
Well,
but I wonder if they would take that into account before appointing her, because
when's Nick McClelland's term up? Because that's something else that could, change the case.
The only thing I know, like, for sure about Nick McClelland is that I don't like his hair, and his license plate bothers me a lot.
Right. But it's an elected position, though. So I'm like, if the DA, I'm not sure when his term ends.
However, now doesn't one of the new defense attorneys have a ponytail? Or did he cut it off?
I'd call it more like a little man bun.
Man bun? Man bun?
Is that Scrimmin, I think?
Scrimmin, yeah.
I
think brought us bald.
Right.
No shade on people with man buns.
I'm not going to have the best hair in the room.
I don't understand that. Do you think he thinks he's got good hair?
I think he thinks he does.
Well, with the license plate, probably.
Yeah.
We can change the subject. I'm sorry.
You know what? Because I'm going to show you something funny in a second. I had to put it in there because it was funny to me. But anyway, so let's just go back to this. Mr. Baldwin had drafted an email to co-counsel, but sent it to the wrong person due to self-populating an electronic email. Alan's response: this was an accident that happens routinely to most people. This intended recipient, attorney Bradley Rosie, and an unintended recipient share the same first three letters. I'm not really sure because, well, I guess, yeah, the first three. No substantive information, just a bare bones outline of a tiny portion of discovery received by defense in this case. Now, the court alleged that Mr. Baldwin put improper statements in the Frank. Well, okay, that's different. Okay. So, anyways, I'm Charmaine. This might make you laugh. It made me laugh. So, Brandon Woodhouse, him and obviously McClelland have a distaste for each other. We'll just say a clear distaste. But anyway, so let me just play the first part of it because it does make me laugh. I'm not gonna lie. There's a few things that made me laugh, to be honest with you, but as a couple of them, I'm not gonna play. As funny as I found them, just kind of more inappropriate. Okay. So we don't want the highlight one. So we'll start with this first.
Who fought so hard? We're going to bring in a bunch of jurors out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. We're going to bring them in. We're going to... Oh, Judge Diener's stepping down. Let's bring in a special appointed judge from Fort Wayne. Let's bring in Judge Frangol. What? No, Your Honor, we can't have a change of venue. I'm Nicholas McClelland, the prosecuting attorney, ma'am. We can't have a change of venue. No, we need to have it in this county. I need to prosecute this case, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes. I'm going to file everything that I need to file in order to have this case in this county. Because it's the community that wants justice, Judge Frangol. It's the community. It doesn't have nothing to do with me getting notoriety. Come on, Slick Nick. It's all about you and your notoriety. What are you, 37, 38 years old? I'm not even going to get into what I was going to say because it's not professional whatsoever. And, the best thing, I love it when you do this, Nick. I've known Mr. Woodhouse for a really long time, Your Honor. And I've never seen one single shred of paper come across my desk that shows that he has epilepsy or seizures. Come on, Slick Nick.
Okay.
Who is that?
That's Brandon Woodhouse.
That's Brandon Woodhouse? Good Lord. Who gave
Now-
that man a computer?
You know, for anyone, because no one really, even including myself, no one knew about Brandon Woodhouse. And I remember somebody sent me his thing, and he barely had any views, at all. And I remember,
I say nobody. I talked to him 2 years ago, if not more, in his DMs about his lawsuits with Carroll County. Thank you very much. And he showed me his ghost videos then too.
You
Yeah.
PM'd this man, Ivy?
hey, I
Who-
like those.
wait, who's like his baby mama like has a kid with someone else in this case?
Oh,
I
my
can't
God.
remember
Was
who
it
it is.
No.
baby mama?
Shane Evans is not the father of his child.
No. But wasn't there paternity? Wasn't there a paternity test and everything about it?
Not about him. Unless I missed it, the paternity was testing Brandon.
Travis cracks me up.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. So I'm not gonna say, but I think that, and I'm not saying Evans, but I think there was his baby mama might have a child with someone else in this case or there was a question about parent. Sorry.
you have to go watch. You guys, you have to go because he references Shane and he goes, and by the way, Shane, thank you for bleeping my wife in someone Randall's home, because just so you know, I'm just like, holy shit.
In another one, he was like, and I watched Shane Evans F my girlfriend while I was in the same room with the
That's what I was talking about.
Right.
But if you look at his court history, there is an order of paternity. There is an order of paternity. So
Yeah.
I
But he
think
puts
it
it
was
in
Evans that he suspected might be the because
But
he was
that
trying to
happened,
get
like,
paying child
a
support.
while- That happened like a while ago, and he's
Well, of course.
even in one of these like videos recently. I say recently, in the last few months, he was like showing comparison pictures between his baby and Evans.
Yeah.
Let me just.
But he was trying to get out of paying child support.
Maybe that would make sense.
He's in jail now, I think.
Yes,
I was wondering if this was recent because I haven't seen this particular one.
I mean, at the end of the
Either
day,
way, he's classy AF. Just
well,
saying.
though, let's face it, let's not judge too hastily here, because Tiara, right, the lady of the night that was, the escort, for the whole Judge Fouts thing, right? Watching her video, she was a hot mess. But between that hot mess, you can tell she was being truthful. And that's the same thing to me with this Brandon person, because it's so, to me, easy to judge somebody because he does have like head damage going on and stuff like that. And that's something that if you've looked into him, this has to do with a Tobe Lesenby case in jail and all that stuff. Now, I think it's like, this isn't like a Garrett Kurtz in a sense. This guy and his family, his brothers, definitely criminal history and all that stuff going on. I guess his dad was an
Horrible racist things that he said.
Yeah, I mean, he's not the cream of the crop by no means, but you always look for where the truth lies in what he's saying. And so for me, I wanted to come back to this because I did find out recently that the Daily Mail did offer a substantial amount towards the discovery information. Okay. And that, now I'm not going to get into all that stuff. I'm not going to tell you the amount. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to show you any clippings. This is one of those things, you know, I'm telling you it. If you, you know, want to deem it as fantasy land, go right ahead. Totally up to you. But there's certain things that you'll put out there. But this becomes really about Daily Mail admitted substantial offer for the discovery. And there's a good reason why they did that. And that's why I wanted to come back to this, because I'm just sending myself something actually here and go back to this. So I always felt that there was truth about this, but nobody ever sent proof about the discovery. And it was very confusing between Mark Roberts and between Brandon Woodhouse, you know, and everything going on about there, you know, Ruckus Rocks, and you know, saying that, you know, he knew everything about the case. It was just different things being said by different people, but yet but not, there was like no proof. Now I'm sorry, I'm just sending myself something. Did I send it already on there? Because I wanted to show this screenshot. Give me a second. And so I wanted to come back to this because it's always like I felt that there's probably something to this, but I didn't know what. And honestly, what a freaking hot mess this case is. Just ridiculous. Between the leaks from Westerman and the pictures and the crime scene photos, you know, the F tree, and then the discovery. So again, you know, I just read that thing that it was like, what was it? What did it say there, Ivy, about just thumbnail drive stuff, nothing substantial, whatever it said there in that document. What did it say? It said, okay, so just to read it again, it says, this was an accident that happens routinely to most people. The intended recipient was attorney Bradley Rosie, and an unintended recipient shared the same, meaning Brandon Woodhouse. The email attachment contained no substantive information, just a bare bones outline of a tiny portion of the discovery received by the defense. So what does that mean to you when you hear that? Like, what would you think?
Well, in the audio from Gold too, like in the hearing, in Chambers hearing, in there, Judge Gold says something about, you know, like talking about the email, and she said, but it was only product, like it wasn't actual discovery, it was the defense's product. So an outline they had made for like organizational purposes.
Right. Which would make sense as to why he would have thought he was sending it to Brad Rosie if someone in his office had made that.
Okay. And there's no way that it could be all the discovery, because this, how like many gigabytes and whatever the next thing of gigabytes
1,000
is.
computers or whatever.
Like that would be way too big to. Have you guys ever tried to fit several pictures in a Gmail? It is hard.
Have you ever tried to send a 3-minute video on?
It is impossible.
Oh my God, stupid computer.
And you know, I've said it before, but you know, when a screenshot was at one point sent back to Woodhouse that came from him, apparently, he said it looks edited.
Was that about the first part where it had like the motorcycle and stuff at?
I don't know which one it was about.
Because I was just now trying to go through
that was
video.
secondhand to me, but someone I trust 100% though.
I was just now trying to go through that video that he put up of the messages between him and Mark, and try to screenshots, even though he like marked a bunch of them out, try to screenshot and see what I can see in the screenshots that he sent to Mark.
Right. Which
I guess those are probably the same ones that got released anyway.
And they're all in the some of them are all blurred out, right? Like because I believe that not all of them, those messages are actually between him and Mark. I think there's a few that that were added in there that were to someone else.
You know what my take was, you know, on his whole thing, especially after listening to him, going back and listening to him. We know he put up some videos with some screenshots. And a lot of them, it looked like kid draw, here's some freaking crayons, let me just edit out this, and then he would leave in like Mark Roberts' picture in some and then not in others, and it's almost like, sorry dude, but I'm just putting all this out there. And then most of us looked at it and was like, okay, so a lot of this information is like already out there. You know what I honestly think happened there? That Mr. Balls got ballless. That's what I think. I honestly feel like what he was wanting to put out and then how he went about it, because he didn't have the proper kahunas to put the information out there properly. That's how it came across to me especially after going back and re-listening to it. So I'm gonna listen to another part of it as well. But
Hold on a minute. I got completely lost in what you just said. What do you think is going on?
Because when people listen to his videos, right? He talks about how he's going to put out videos to show the proof and stuff like that. I feel like what he was going to put out to what he actually showed was some of the stuff, but it's like he did it in a way that showed it like a lot of people kind of had that information, like there was things in there for sure. Okay. But there was also things in there that everybody else.
The majority of it was stuff that was already known.
So what I'm saying is my personal take is that the stuff that he truly was going to put out, I think he backed down of it, and maybe it could have been for legal reasons and stuff like that, because he has no problem suing though and doing those type of things. But I feel like he didn't. I feel like he did it in a way that was like, I don't know, like just first of all, kid-like, but secondly, it's almost like when somebody talks the talk, but then I don't think he backed up the walk on it in a sense. And I think he put stuff out there to try to show, but I don't
to me, that more points to the fact that he doesn't have it.
Well,
I don't think he has it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that I think it was myself. Okay. I personally think it was more that he backed down from showing what he was going to show because maybe of legal repercussions because of it, and did it in a way that it was still putting information out there, but not what he necessarily had,
but
showing parts of it.
And I thought about that too, Sonny, but I keep going back to the fact that this is someone that, like, I mean, if you look at the YouTube page, he's like, I hate Carroll County, basically. And
Nick McLean,
this is someone that, has filed lawsuits against, the county before. And if he really had pertinent, vital information from this discovery, what would have kept him from releasing it publicly? I mean, he literally had warrants out for his arrest, which he's now been arrested for and is in jail. So I think that it would have been even more of a reason he would want the information to all get out there so that he could be proven right.
Now, by chance, because I don't know nothing about this stuff, remember he filed a tort claim against Baldwin? Okay. So if he put the stuff out there on video, would that not impact his tort claim about Baldwin for sending the evidence? You know what? Let me just quickly play the rest, some of what he said. Okay. I'm just going to do that.
My mind always goes back to that. I'm just really quickly that, like when he did that whole video that he said was pre-recorded, but then none of the dates, nothing lined up. I just felt like I had to go through mental gymnastics to make sense of any of it.
You know what the thing is that if anyone listens to Brandon Woodhouse, it's like that person that's, to me, in a sense, he's using a lot of big words in a sense. Like, meaning, I don't think he's a dumbass, that's for sure. He's very street smart, but he's, spends a lot of time suing people. Like, there's this, so basically, there's the action that happened between Tobe Lesenby and in jail and McClelland, and he blames McClelland for whatever, right? It's like this case. And so basically Baldwin had contacted him because he wanted him to be on trial for the Delphi murders because of how, say, Brandon Woodhouse says, with all the information that he's basically Nick McClelland is slime, that he's basically always setting him up in a sense, meaning that he's abusing and being what do you want to call it? Being crooked and type of thing. So there's clearly this thing that's going on for sure between Nick McClellan and Brandon Woodhouse. They clearly don't like each other, and basically saying that Nick McClellan, like, they're shady as shit. And it's hard sometimes because in your head that this shit is true a lot of it times too, right? That it's not like it's like going to a prison and going, everyone's just getting treated perfectly, and that just doesn't happen. You know that because of all the news articles and documentaries that come out of this, corrupt prison where the correctional officers are helping inmates come out, or they're doing drugs and this and that and this. But anyways, let me just play again this video, or the rest of it. I'll take this. Wait, actually, sorry. He says, Delphi double homicide alleged suspect Richard Allen's attorney, Andrew Baldwin, is now being sued for, and that was the tort, for releasing the Richard Allen thumb drive map containing all sealed evidence from the nation to two separate civilians. Now, Brandon Woodhouse, what does it say? Brandon Woodhouse from the Woodhouse versus Lesenby sexual assault case of 2019, and a relative to one of the victims' members by the last name of Patty. So this is where he has that wrong, because I looked into this myself. So Shelby
There's a couple
Patty.
things you got wrong.
Well,
But
Shelby.
go on.
Well, okay, go ahead, Ivy.
No, I was saying there's a couple things you got wrong, but go on with what you were saying.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, when you hear the name Patty, instantly you think of Mike and Becky Patty and stuff like that. So I, of course, Googled who Shelby Patty was myself. Now, works with Rosie's office, I think the attorney, and works with there. So when it was CC'd, because he didn't know it at the time, and like I said, you hear the name Patty and you instantly go back to, Becky and whatever. So he was having that newswoman look into it for him or whatever. Right. It's clear as day that Patty, this is a different Patty. And this is within Rosie's office. And that's who it was CC'd to. Because he had said that it was CC'd to him. And
now that you say that out loud, it kind of backs up Baldwin's claim that it really was an accident. That he was CCing or emailing Rosie and then CCing his office person.
Oh, I believe it was an accident. I do.
Same.
I do believe it was an accident, but I believe it was a bigger accident than what they're claiming. But we'll talk about that after the video. So let me do that for a second, and I'll just go back to playing that. I'll just play it out a little bit here. So I got to get back. Hold on. Gotta back this part.
Disparity.
Yeah.
Right. Nick was talking to Brad Rossi about a thumb drive map for the Richard Allen thumb drive map, which contains all the sealed evidence, which the public still does not have. And he just previously talked to me about getting my medical thumb drive. Well, he confuses my email, Brandon, with Brad, and he sends me the Richard Allen thumb drive map with all the sealed evidence from the Abby and Libby murder case. And I don't believe it was an accident, because there was one other person CC'd on the email, and the other person CC'd on the email caused great concern to me because the last name was Patty. And if we look at the last name of Patty, we see that one of the victims in the crime that was committed in the double homicide.
Right. So obviously he had that part wrong, because just like, again, if most people see Patty, and that's why he thought it was purposefully, was because he thought that was attached to the Patty family. Okay, so I'll just keep playing that.
Last name of, I believe it was Liberty German, the last name of her family was Patty. So me and a Patty was CC'd. I believe it was a Shelby Patty or something of that nature. I'd have to look it up to verify it, but I'm pretty sure it's Shelby Patty. Not real sure. I do have Debbie Lowe from the Carroll County Comment looking into that, because she's getting ready to publish an article. Channel 18 WLFI is getting ready to do their show on everything that's
None
been
of which
going
would
on. They've
happen.
done a 7-month research on me so far, and I just got done talking to Fox 59 within the last 10 to 12 days, and they're getting ready to do a story on me as well. The point I want to get to is I was given all the sealed evidence by Andrew Baldwin. And since I was given all the sealed evidence by Andrew Baldwin, I've now been set up and framed, staged, and implemented in crimes that I did not commit. Think about it.
Whole darn thing. Shoot. Did I not attach? See, I was racing so badly. Hold on. I was racing so badly. Sorry, and then I was getting messaged. Did he talk about the water bottle?
No.
Ah, shit.
Travis says, so did any of the TV stations? No. He kept making that claim that, you know, these stations were all going to drop the story. None of them ever did.
They did cover him like back when his lawsuit against, I don't know if it was Carroll County and Lesenby both.
You know, I'm talking about in reference to what he's discussing in these videos, which
I'm wondering if
now.
Because I was surprised they covered him just on his word back then. I wonder if that is one reason why they didn't cover him this time.
Well, I mean, I've listened to I've listened to a dispatch call when responders were going out to his house, and as soon as they heard the name, you could almost hear the audible like oh, because I mean, anyone that lives in a small town knows certain people get reputations for their actions. So, and I'm not saying anything negative about Brandon. I'm just saying clearly he's known to officials in town. But yeah.
Just give me a second.
Because I was hearing all this behind the scenes too, as far as like they're going to do this story, they're going to do it on Tuesday, they're going to do this on, and none of it ever happened. Just like none of the information that he says that he had outside of the screenshots of the thumb drive have ever come out.
So I feel like even if he didn't put it out, the fact that he was sending stuff to Mark Robert, it would have gotten out that way, in my opinion.
Exactly. And the stuff with Mark Robert and, Cal Fortson and that stuff, that's an entirely different, thing, because that information panned out. This information has never been proven to be factual, other than the list.
I'm gonna have to do it for next time. Because I'm the thing is that I was racing around so bad. I was recording different parts of it. The part that I wanted, besides that little part in there, was the part that I wanted where he's talking about the evidence that was in there. And now a couple of them we would go, well, but he talked about 3 in specific. So if it ever comes back, you guys, let me put it this way. If it ever comes back that Richard Allen's DNA was taken from a water bottle, okay, remember that.
But that was already in that. We've already known that they took a water bottle from his house, though.
Right.
Where was that in?
It was in the search warrant stuff, the list of things they took.
The search warrant? A water bottle? Okay. And then, of course, he talks about that subpoena to NASA's video, which you guys, we all know, we've heard about Disney and NASA and stuff like that. So we've all heard about that. And then what was the other one he talks about? Oh, okay. And he does talk about the car, the vehicle, and how he worked at Hoosier Harvestor, and that about where the cameras are. And of course, but we know from the affidavit that, or wherever it was, about the vehicle, traveling by or whatever. That was in the affidavit, was it? About the vehicle, like that they have him on camera, his car.
It says they have a car that resembled his or something like that.
Sonny, do you remember what was his explanation about the NASA subpoena?
Oh, just said they had actually went as far as subpoenaing the video footage from NASA.
But here's my like question with that. ISP and the FBI are the ones that reached out to NASA to examine the video. So what need would there be for a subpoena to get the video from NASA? The only reason NASA looked at the video was because they were asked to by ISP and the FBI.
Okay.
It makes no sense to me.
So this is going to be a whole thing so I'm not going to show you anything at all when it comes to regards to this. This is just a bunch of background stuff, but it was a matter to me of, like, I never personally saw proof, Triple F Frank was talking about this or whatever. Ruckus Rocks talking about knowing everything about whatever. We know that, like everyone keeps saying, like certain people keep saying that they have all this information and stuff like that. So now I have seen stuff towards this. So why would Daily Mail, and it wasn't to Brandon Woodhouse, by the way, why would Daily Mail offer a substantial amount towards the discovery information? Like knowing that they saw stuff that the lawyer thought that this was actually legit. And there's way more screenshots of the thumb drive and stuff like that. But meaning, why would a lawyer say that they believe that this is legit, this information, and Daily Mail offering? So it really just comes down to, for me, do I feel, not do you guys feel, because you guys can have your own opinion like you are, right, on this. Do I feel like this discovery exists now? Did I before? Never seen anything to prove it, type of idea. Do I feel differently now? Yes, I do. I do believe.
What were they saying that the lawyer saw?
Pardon?
What were they saying that the lawyer saw?
Just some of the discovery.
So more than the, whatever you want to call that thing,
right? Like enough to say that they believed that it was legit, and then that, like I said, for the Daily Mail, and it wasn't to Brandon Woodhouse, okay, but I'm not going to give you the backdrop on that. I'm just saying this. So this became to me because everyone keeps talking about this discovery that's out there, and not that it came from Mitch Westerman. But everyone keeps talking about this discovery out there of having it. And at first I'm like, well, I call bullshit. But I did believe, as rough as Brandon is, I always try to listen to something, and kind of like Ron Logan, when he was talking to those girls, I try to listen to their voice, what they're saying. And if I find them believable, knowing that this guy is in jail and he's got a background like no one's business, right?
Right.
And I love his little alien videos that he shows, by the way. I was looking at one last night. His little spaceship orb thing that he was going on. And he's just doing it from his thing. But anyways, I
don't necessarily believe he's lying.
Same.
Well,
same.
That's the thing is that, okay, so behind the scenes, it said that definitely discovery has been shown. Okay. Again, I'm not going to go there with that, but just to say that.
Brandon Woodhouse?
No, from Brandon Woodhouse, right? That he has shown. And that. So I think the way what I feel is that what's happened here is that different people have different parts, of information. And we all know at the end of the day that Mark Roberts is a person that, talks to all these different people. We know that. It's been said multiple times. He's been in the whole Westerman line and but behind the scene, you always know that there's like the Rick Snays of the world, the Chris Todds of the world, the Brandon Woodhouse is now, and there's all these different people. And Ruckus saying that he knew about stuff. And so for me, it was just a matter of, did I believe it was true? Because, like little Frank, Triple F Frank kept talking about it. I said, well, and this is when he got all a little pissy at me the one day, right? Because I said, where's the proof? Do you have proof? And I said, did Ruckus give you any proof? And he said, no, because Ruckus will know what I'll do with it. And I'm like, oh, okay. So you have no proof. And he's like, why are you asking me so many questions? Like, I'm like, well, because do you have proof
He
of
has
this?
his gut feeling. Isn't
Okay.
that good enough?
No. You know, but then when I saw information yesterday and about the Daily Mail offering a substantial amount towards, then I was like, maybe there is truth to this. So, anyways, I'm just saying, and I got nothing. I'm not going to show anything to back it up or anything like that. I'm just saying, I was just kind of curious. Did this stuff exist? There's so many people keep talking about it and stuff like that. But when I was told about the Daily Mail, and again, it can be backed up, but I'm not going to back that up. Then I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I'm not trying to play like cryptic here. It's just that it just was a personal thing to me. Is there discovery out? And I wanted to go back last night because before anything, just to look and listen to what he had said, because I always believed that there was truth to that. Now, there is more to Brandon Woodhouse video when he talks that, like I said, he literally sits there and says, like, look, they put out 100 or all this stuff, but that was only 3% of the discovery. Like, I got all this discovery, and according to others, he has shared some of that discovery. Again, but it's not one of those things that's widely public out there because most people would be sitting on it more so. And that's why I was saying that even I think Brandon, when he wanted to kind of show some of his stuff, I think he backed down from that. And that's why those videos come out with here's little portions and here's my conversation with Mark Roberts and here's my conversation with Baldwin. Now, my thing is that to me, this could easily be proven. So if Brandon Woodhouse has the discovery and what was put into that document, the court document, then that would then if that could be proven, then obviously Baldwin is a bold-faced liar. What I've actually kind of deemed from this myself is I do think that Baldwin plays in a shady crowd of what he does, because he talks about it in his video about how that. So Baldwin wanted him because of the McClellan case and saying that McClellan was basically a liar and he planted evidence and he did this. So Baldwin wanted him to, be part of the Delphi murder case. And Brandon had basically said, well, look, no, I signed a whatever that's called, disparagement, whatever agreement, when you can't talk about something. And he says, and this is going by Brandon saying, and which sounds, probably more legit. He said something like, well, Baldwin said, well, no, I can do things that go around it so you're not breaking that thing or whatever. And then he asked him for his medical records, kind of like before and after. And this is part of a different case, okay, guys, that stuff that I'm talking about with McClellan and stuff like that. So what he says happened is that he was that Baldwin accidentally gave him the wrong, you'll see this later, the wrong hard drive. He sent him, like I said, accidentally, the thumb drive with the discovery on it. And it just became about, do I feel like myself that he was being credible? I felt like there was truth to it, but I didn't have anything to back that up. And I'm not going to show anything to back that up because it was just a personal knowledge thing to me. Is there discovery out there? Why are all these creators acting like they know the cat's ass about Delphi in a sense, And I think it just boils down to that some people do have the discovery, that I believe the discovery is out there, which I didn't necessarily before because I hadn't seen anything. So that's why it just kind of became, well, if the Daily Mail is offering money and there's, pieces where lawyer is saying, like that they believed it was like legit, but that there were some things taken out of it, it seemed like, why would they offer? Why would they offer money if there wasn't a good reason? Not to Brandon. I just want to make sure that's clear. The money was not offered to Brandon. Okay. I know that might sound like a twist, but it wasn't offered to Brandon for the discovery from all these people that keep talking about the discovery.
I
So
would imagine the same reason why Chris Todd offered money for crime scene pictures. They want to put it out there. They want to make money off of it.
yeah, well, I mean, I think that's what it will boil down to, right? You know, it's like, I mean, I think that there was, to me, I feel like they're now, like if I look at it now, I'm thinking that there was this more huger fuck up, but this is something that the courts or the LE could figure out, though. I mean, all
But
they
what's
had
interesting though is from what you said, Woodhouse says in that portion of the video. Sorry if you can hear that, my dog's scratching. About the water bottle and stuff, that doesn't match up what, say, like the motorcycle theorist, well, we'll call them that, are saying. So it's like two different stories too, though.
well, no, I believe that motorcycle thing is still out there about that.
I'm saying, but they don't. If there's discovery floating around, now you've got like two separate stories.
Oh. Well, yeah, meaning I guess, yeah. I mean, all I'm saying is like, and we can all use our own brains, you know, and some of us have more stuff than other people, obviously, right? Creators, you know, like I said, they're not going to sit there and put everything out to the world. For me, Abby and Libby's case is about personal knowledge. There's definitely things that will come out to the public, and there's definitely things that won't. Why? Because, you know, you're not trying to hurt anything. You're not trying to, like, you know, put out things like, for instance, crime scene photos, in a sense that, you know, to the public, you know, hence why they're buried between different creators and different things along the way. And it just keeps kind of spreading. And I hope that they never reach it to the public. And that's kind of seems to be what's happening to me with Discovery, is that it's making its way, but some people have this much, some people have this much, some people have this much, you know, and stuff like that. So it just became to me, do I believe that the discovery is out there? And
Sunny?
listen, yes.
So I'm sorry, you guys are having such a great conversation, but I'm upset.
Why?
Will you have this video paused? He's looking directly at my chest and he's got that really creepy look to me. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Do you want me to do the head spinny? Where's the head
He
spinny
still
part?
is.
Right there?
It's
Oh, here.
terrible. Like it's
Okay.
terrible.
There you go.
He
Is
has
that better?
flames behind him.
Is that better?
Now he's threatening me. It's okay, whatever. It's good.
I have one more question, and I think
Here.
that's my
Is
last
that
one
better?
about that stuff.
Okay.
If Daily Mail is
Come on, Ellie.
willing to give out substantial money and people have it, why haven't they sold it?
Well, again, there's more of a backstory to that. I'm just not gonna say it. That's all.
Okay.
It was just a matter. It was a matter of, if anyone listens to Brandon Woodhouse, and me and Adam had this conversation. Adam felt like, no, all he got was the thumb map, and that was it. And I said, you know, I thought he had more. I didn't know what, but you know, and then people are talking about like what you guys are talking about. Like, well, I mean, like when you send something in email, well, it depends if it's zipped or not, or however it comes, right? If it's a zip file, different story. But because you can send a zip file, no problem, to somebody with all the information, is it? So did he get it in a zip file?
I never can make those work. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't mean, for me, do you guys know about zip files? Because I've used them many times. And you compact.
I know about them.
So basically, all that information that would be in Discovery, you just compact it into a zip file, and then it sends it, because it's condensed, and then you open it up, and it like pops up like a pop-up book and all the different files.
Right.
I know that.
And I don't know everything about it, but I've heard people say that, you know, the way that this is formatted in the screenshots is that would not be a hyperlink, which is what you would need to get to those large files, right?
No, not.
Like I said, I don't know. I only know that, you know, like I said, I've said that I thought, you know, I was told there were 30 screenshots of the Discovery index file. But
Well, that's
Yeah.
an interesting thing.
I've got pretty. I feel like I'm pretty close to people that would know, and I've never seen a bit of proof.
I wonder why the 30 haven't all come out.
Exactly.
Well, right. Like,
I'm not
okay.
doubting it. I'm not accusing Brandon Woodhouse of lying. I'm just saying I don't think that there was content inside those links.
Well, again, the only way that stuff could have been sent is through a zip file.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it would have to be sent, through a zip file. You would have to send that even to Rosie's office. You would have to send that through a zip file. You would have to take those documents to me, and you can pack them. Again, I know about zip files myself because I've used them so many times in my life. And it's like I could have 100 documents, put it into a zip file. It compacts it to like whatever 2.5 gig,
Right.
whatever, and then poof, you'll put up the zip file, right? And then all the documents and all the things are in there.
But don't forget also, this was all shared before the ex-defense team of Richard Allen even claimed to have they kept saying they didn't have the discovery. They didn't have discovery, and this was shared before they got all of the discovery.
Yeah, this was about, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Well, I think that the Daily Mail thing was like August 4th. I think it was.
Right. I remember September 18th is the date that October 10th or 11th was the date that that all of the discovery had,
but
Nick McClellan said all of it had been sent over.
That's just the thing, though. Is no one's saying, though, Adam, that it's all the discovery, like meaning like it's like the full discovery, right? Like meaning that I'm sure that Rosie is sent over partial, like I mean, like whatever they've been given from prosecutor, in a sense, and is sent. So if they got more discovery after that, but this stuff was when was this? Well, he did this 4 months ago.
It was August.
So yeah, right. So whatever amount of information, in a sense.
I was confused about that because I always heard, and I want to say even like Woodhouse might have said it too, that he got this in April-ish, but then when all the leak stuff came out, it said that it was leaked in December.
No, the December thing was the other thing, right? It wasn't the December thing.
Was that the press release?
When they put out the press release, yeah, I think that was the December thing.
Oh, okay, that would make more sense.
But they did say this. I think one of the court documents did say the springtime.
I always heard like
they actually said a month, but I think they said spring, and then.
Like, I'm just asking, by the way. Now, this was tipped in, so like I'm saying, this wouldn't be hard to prove or disprove.
Right.
Meaning if the discovery's out there, and Ali knows about it, but again.
But here's the thing. I mean, they've said in court documents that it didn't contain anything substantive.
No. That's what they said. That's the difference.
It's a court document.
Yeah, but who cares? But that's what I mean. Who cares? Baldwin can lie all he wants, like in a sense. And if he gets caught, then he's fucking up shit creek without a paddle. So that's what I'm saying. It might be in court documents, and he could be totally lying about it, just like he could be totally lying to me about, or to us about, that he didn't have any part of the Mitch Westerman leak. I mean, that could easily happen, and he's claiming that he only sent it that way. But again, this would be easy to prove, in a sense, if he did or didn't. Because if he had the discovery, then he could make, right? Then Baldwin would be up shit creek without a paddle for lying, about the discovery. So that's what I mean. So even Fran Gull said, well, I didn't look at everything. I'm just like, this is what I'm, whatever. But she didn't actually look at all the facts.
He also didn't notify anyone when he should have.
Right.
He had an obligation to notify them.
Right.
But
now, Brandon, I suggested anyone, whoever even does care about this, just go watch Brandon Woodhouse, 2 videos, two parts. Actually, you can watch the third one, but one of them is part 1 of 2. The second one, he's just reading the thing, really. That one's kind of boring, to be honest. So just go to part 1 and then watch the video beside it.
I
And
feel
then-
like I feel like personally, if there had been, if when the court became aware of the email that was sent to Woodhouse, if it contained actual discovery files, not just the names of them in the index headers, I think we would have been seeing a hearing set like we did after the crime scene photos were leaked. Because I don't think they just would have been like, okay, well, there's strike 2. If it was.
What about, Aspen, do you believe that in the Westerman leak, do you believe that was only crime scene photos, or do you believe there was more than that?
I believe there was more than that.
But that wasn't included in any of the court documents. It just said about the pictures.
Does it say, is there one document where it says discovery and crime scene photos?
So,
ooh, I don't know.
Sorry, say that again, Adam?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I remember that the murder sheet, they said that they received crime scene photos and discovery material. If you listen to that episode where they talk about, like, when they explain like what happened. But I was thinking there was one of the court documents said crime scene photos and evidence or just, I can't remember the word they used, but I've never heard concretely. But I mean, we've also heard a lot of rumors about, like we've heard different pictures were sent to different people, that different things were sent to different people. But from everyone that I've heard from and spoken to, that the only descriptions of pictures that have been given are all of the same 4. So
sorry. December of 2022. So whatever evidence discovery, he was sent this in December.
So he was the email. The email was December. That wasn't the press. That wasn't the press release.
No, for his files, for the files.
That's so early.
There was no discovery turned over yet.
Pardon?
I mean, it was literally. What's that?
Well, I mean, we have a mutual friend, and that's what it says.
But the December 2022 thing was the press release that the defense team did. That's what they got in trouble for then. The discovery hadn't been even. I mean, you can look back in the court things. They said they hadn't received any discovery. I think that was March, and that's why I remember when the trial was supposed to start in March.
Hold on, the person's correcting themselves.
Okay.
And saying that the press release was November 22nd, 2022. Yeah. But you're right. So it's April. Right. Like Ivy was saying, or
springtime.
Yeah, it's springtime on there. Sorry, it's a lot of information, to be honest with you. So what I need to do is I need to regroup on this one, do another live, and do one with things that I'm allowed to say and what I'm not allowed to say.
One thing you should look into before I forget this, because I will, is something Aspen just said about, did you say when it was that the defense was like, we don't have any discovery yet?
Well, I remember when the trial was originally supposed to start in March, and I can't remember the date or exactly what they said, but I mean, that was one of the reasons they were like, we're not ready, I think that was in February. February was the first time I think that I remember hearing about them not having the discovery. And I can't remember, it might have been the prosecution that said we can't have the discovery ready yet. I don't remember.
We should go, that's one of the things we should go back and look at.
Right. But the original trial date was supposed to be March of 2023. Everyone knew that wasn't going to happen, but
yeah.
Just to see,
the first time I remember hearing about discovery was like when they were talking about moving.
My husband's back. 1 sec, guys. Hey, Teresa, how are you?
I mean, it's an interesting thing to look at. I mean, I will always change my mind if there's new information that I don't know that comes out. But at this point, I could mostly lean towards just those, whatever you want to call them.
Well, let me just ask you on this, and chat I'm talking about as well. Does anyone in chat or whatever, and this was just the whole purpose of it, really, does anyone from anyone watching all the different creators, do you guys believe that there's discovery out there? Sorry, my husband brought me fries, Popeyes. But do you guys think, watching the different creators, which I really don't too much, right, at all, but from you guys that are in the chat, especially, do you guys believe that there is discovery out there? Because obviously, if people are watching the different people that are claiming it and stuff like that, so do you guys believe that? And I just think it comes down to, if you do believe it, then I believe that different people have different pieces of it, and that's what I would go with. The different people have different pieces of it, because you know how it goes, right?
It
It's
does
kind of
seem
like
like
30 screenshots.
do, but then it's like, where did, like, let's say Ruckus, since we have talked about him several times.
Yeah.
Let's say he does have pieces
Well,
of discovery. And
I
like,
just-
where did he get it from?
Well,
Did he
right.
get it from Woodhouse, or did he get it from Mark and like some other people he talked to when he had a trip or whatever?
He talks to Mark, obviously.
Yeah, that's who he claims to have gotten it from, Mark.
I mean,
All of
yeah.
it?
Well, I don't know. I just know one day I was watching a short on Ruckus, and
Mhm.
he said that he knows everything that happened and whatever
Yeah.
like that. And I'm just like, oh, dude, I've said the same thing. And but then it was one of those things. But I don't really know Ruckus. I know he's a nice guy. I know he has a genuine heart. I was like Deb knows him more, and other people like Frank Meister and stuff like that. But when somebody makes a bold statement like that, kind of like what I did with Keegan Dunker, you kind of are like, okay, dude, come on, you're just like the rest of us. You guys don't know as much as whatever you think you do, but okay, because you have Fig Solve saying one person. I know it's boring, one person. You have Ruckus Rock saying more than one person, and I know all this stuff. Nothing against either of the creators, okay? That has nothing to do with them. This is about, is there discovery out there? Because people keep talking about it. And the reason I keep bringing up Ruckus is because his was the first one that I really seen where somebody was saying, look, I've seen whatever. I know everything pretty much about Delphi, like what's going on, but I can't say anything because I don't want to jeopardize the case. Then it became about the swirling information about the discovery and stuff like that. And like I said, it's all these back people doing a lot of talking and whatever, and you're just like going, well, I've never seen proof, so show me some proof, and then maybe I'll believe you. And
it is interesting that like they have totally different, like, that is a good point, like completely opposite basically things that they say that I know happened because I have this information. Then it's like, what are you both looking at that you get two separate things?
It's possible that there's also fake discovery out there that's being peddled as real discovery. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Well, look at, there's a video that somebody was showing today. You guys put in the chat, and then I've seen a couple people talk about it from Crime Night. Like, what the heck was that all about? Is that supposed to be McClelland confessing to me? Like,
yes.
What was that? So that was supposed to be about? Yeah, like, take that shit away from me, honestly. On there, it's less like, so what's like.
One thing I have always wanted to do, I say always, like since all the leaks and whatnot happened, maybe like in the early fall, is go around and figure out what each person claims to have or what information they're putting out, and then like taking all that information back, and because there's probably like a path you can follow and kind of just see like where that. I'm just not organized enough to do that.
I know, me neither, actually, to be honest with you.
We need a Tom Webster spreadsheet.
Well, as far as the fake phone call that came out on a video today that was then taken down.
That's the one you're talking about. That's the one I was talking about.
First of all, there's no way in the world I believe that's real. I listened to it. It's AI generated. I mean, I agree. There's so. It's so obvious to me. And the phone call is purportedly supposed to be between Nick McClelland and Tony Liggett. And it's funny to me, one, that Nick McClelland's voice doesn't sound real to begin with. and there's so much background noise that has been added to it.
Oh my goodness!
And
right?
then it's really funny to me that you never hear Tony Liggett's responses in the phone call. You only hear Nick McClelland. And you know why that would be? It's because there's not enough sample audio material to get an AI generation of Tony Liggett's voice.
Mm-hmm.
And the sample they got of Nick McClelland's voice is a bad sample because it's so flat and static.
Crime Night.
It's AI generated, and it just so happens that this phone call that they think that they're trying to claim is real is them admitting to the corruption and the cover up that Carroll County is doing and how they're the bad guys.
That's Joe Lewis or Louise.
It's a crime, right. And and law enforcement have been sent the video.
I don't pay attention. Like honestly, I just and I was like, "What the heck is this?" Seriously.
Right. And it wasn't Crime Night that made it. I mean, he said he got it. No, he said no. Yeah, so I'm not saying no. I have no idea where it came from, but it's fake. I can tell that.
Yeah.
He said it came from like an anonymous email or something. But no, the video has been sent to law enforcement because it is a crime.
Okay, go ahead. Does anybody, Charmaine or Ivy? I'm going to move on to Dave Erskin for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for you to get his mug off this screen there. Okay. I don't like what he's looking at now either. You.
What? Said obviously it's bugging you.
Well, now look where he's looking, Sonny. It's so offensive. It's better than my chest, but my gosh.
Hold on a second. Let me see what I want to put. I know. Hold on.
Hey, Teresa.
Yeah, let's see. 1 second. Share screen. What do I want to share then? What do I want to share? Do I want to share this one expired document? Why aren't my emotions? Oh, emoticons, not emotion. Here, I'll just throw this back up for a minute. So for anyone coming into the chat right now, is that better? Do you feel like this document is staring at you too hard?
Stop it. You know. And everybody in chat knew too. They did.
So anyone coming into the live chat now, we were talking about the documents at the start. We moved on to the Daily Mail and the offer, in a sense. I'm not talking about the amount. Offer made towards the discovery from the Brandon Woodhouse thumb drive map that he claims he got all the discovery and stuff like that. Anyways, you have to backtrack and replay crew or whatever. And now we're going to move on to Dave Erskin. Even though I mean, like I said, we'll come back with another live. Hi, Frank. We're going to come back with another live, and I'm going to talk to a certain person, and I'm going to see what information I can actually put out there to make it seem perhaps a little bit more clear. When you're talking with people, doesn't matter who it is, Teresa, everybody understands this as a creator, Frank does, is that there's certain information that you can put out there and other information that you don't want to, because it's, not everybody needs to know everything. Sorry. Unless you're a creator, then that requires you to go do your own work as well. So that's why, hence, we don't owe it to anybody to put out whatever we don't want to. And we don't want to throw people underneath of a bus and stuff like that. But yet we want to provide you with maybe, things to say, yes, there is discovery out there, or no, there's not, or that this isn't real or this is real and stuff like that.
And you also want to be able to verify that you also want to be able to verify that, what you're saying is not bullshit.
Yeah. I'm in this case, I'm not going to sit here and 100% say that Brandon Woodhouse was given that discovery. I think it's, to me, highly probable, and it might be very lowly probable to say Adam or to Ivy or to Charmaine and stuff like that. So it's not what I'm going to call factual. Now, if I had the email, for instance, or whatever information with the Daily Mail, where I looked at it myself, but I know where the information is coming from, and it's a very highly reputable source. So that's why there's a question mark, because I'm not going to 100% say, because I don't I can't show you on the screen to go see fact on there. But knowing what I saw, I'm more apt to believe, of course, even more, that when I originally saw Brandon Woodhouse's video, kind of like Tierra, I just was looking at what they were saying. Was it coming off as truthful? You know, we're like, do you know what I mean? Like Tierra, go ahead.
Can't someone just put some chirp money on his account?
Right? I know. Hey, buddy, what are you doing in jail? You know,
Brandon.
Yeah. Oh no.
Sorry, meant to message Brad Rosie.
No, I want to say this before we get on to David Erskin. I saw the most effed up thing on one of his videos. So his girlfriend happens to be with the name Sonia. At the time, this is like 3 years ago. Okay, so whatever happened, this neighbor tractor literally is going on his yard, and it was something about all he wanted him to do is pick up the feces. So it sounded like his animals were dropping feces all over his yard or something like that, and he wanted him to pick up the feces. So psycho neighbor or whatever is in his freaking tractor there and is driving around, and he literally purposely runs into this female Sonia.
I saw that. It was crazy.
It was crazy, right? Now Brandon Woodhouse knows. When you call the cops, he said he called like the 911, and they kept hanging up on him. It's almost like, fuck you. Like someone say 911 going, fuck you, dude. Like seriously, we know who you are. Fuck off. Leave us alone. We're busy. Don't got time for you. And this is what I'm talking about, like this little bit small town, because I thought it was the most craziest thing that this girl is getting stabbed. Like the pain that she was in, I was feeling that shit through my computer, on my iPad. I was feeling so bad for this girl. She's like, Sonia, she's just screaming her head off. And, they got some paramedics there. And then he's trying to call the police. Like, he's like, is the police coming? Is the police coming? The dude is the sheriff, whoever the guy was that was in the car, sitting on his freaking ass in the car. The tractor is going by that just literally ran over here. And it was almost like, yeah, no, we're not doing anything. No. And here you have this chick screaming. Paramedics are freaking taking care of her. And then the Ali is just sitting in the freaking vehicle, and he said, calling 911 5 times or whatever. He actually got charged with harassment of 911. I thought it was the most despicable thing. And you know what, though? In Carroll County, nothing shocks me. That shit does not shock me at all. That's where it was, right? Was it Carroll County that he lives? Have to think. I think it was Carroll County. Yeah. But anyways, it was this most disgusting behavior. I couldn't believe this guy is still going in his tractor when he literally ran down a lady with the tractor, and she was screaming bloody murder. It was the most craziest shit. People might not do things good in life, and Brandon certainly knows that he's no freaking angel, along with his brother and shit like that. But still, then there's being treated like you're almost like a piece of shit, because it's like, and that's how I
agree with that.
Yeah, and I feel like that's how, like with Nick McClelland, like when people call him Slick Nick, I think that there is some probably shade going on there, because it's kind of like remember Chris Mathis, when he's talking about, like, that guy's known me for like 11 years now, and every time, so I think that there's definitely this run-in between McClelland and Brandon Woodhouse for sure. And it's like they like to each piss each other off or something like that.
I mean, just remember how Nick McClelland came into that press conference in 2018, the one he did. And I mean, it was like, wait, and first of all, in Indiana, you're used to people dressing like BG, not like they're in New York or something. And he comes in kind of like the slim suits with the, the hair, and, he came across kind of arrogant, and which is probably just youth and and what's the word,
douche?
No, I mean ambition, but
yeah, I know.
I mean, it clearly stands apart from a lot of people in the area, so I can see where people would get that opinion immediately. And he's probably earned it a little bit.
I'm not a fan of his.
I will say that he was the thing that I was worried about the most when this was, when after there was an arrest and the trial and everything, we were talking about it. And he's the only one that hasn't actually had something go up to the Supreme Court. The defense has, and the judge has, but he's the one person that has actually pretty much been on the straight and narrow.
Okay, moving on. David Erskine. Not a huge fan either.
I'll be right back.
I've talked to him very little, but he's a liar. He's a liar. Because I mean, there's information that I've only ever said once in a membership live about those photos and how they made it out, or let me about the information of the photos to Chris Todd. I mean, it's so hard. They're all a bunch of effing liars. Like the whole shit, and a lot of them. Like Dave Erskin was lying his effing ass off on triple frank art of deduction, like on the stuff that he was saying.
Did you think so? I don't.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Well, maybe we'll have to talk about it later.
Yeah, well, that's more of a private thing. But he's well, so
I saw sidestepping, or I heard sidestepping.
The thing is that little Frank, okay, and since you called me fat ass Frank on a thing, I'm just gonna call you what I typically call you, fuckface Frank. Okay, so little F triple F. That's probably bad. I'm not gonna edit that out though. But anyway, triple F Frank. He was talking about this, and after he was apologizing for his crap of how he handled it. Sorry, dude, you don't sit there and put his work phone number out to the world and all your people in Discord. So you should apologize for that. That was just wrong. And then sit there and go, I got gold now. But anyways, was he correct in that Dave Erskine's a liar? Absolutely.
Not the stuff he claimed. I totally disagree. I totally disagree with that.
Because he claimed he didn't talk to Mark Roberts, or he claimed he didn't do this, or he claimed he didn't do that.
Well, I can't prove that. But the part about what Frank was talking about, the biggest liar part, is that Frank thinks, those red guys in the creek in the helicopter footage?
Yeah.
He thinks one of those is Erskine. So he's like, there's no way you could have found those clothes at 9 or 10 when you're saying, because here you are in this thing after the girls were already found. He's not one of those people.
I'm not talking about what triple F thinks. And
I thought you meant what he was saying he lied about.
I'm talking about Dave Erskine himself. What little Frank thinks he knows or doesn't know. Like I said, I'm sorry, but you need to graduate underneath the sandbox first before you play in the big sandbox on this stuff. You need to know a little bit more of your facts, and you certainly know how to treat people a lot better. Once you grow up and learn things like that and etiquette, and not throwing people underneath the bus or calling out names or showing people's work phone numbers all place and stuff like that. Okay. There's a way that you can talk to people and get information. And that's doing it a more ethical way. Absolutely. Anyways, as for him, no, do not care about that part. But he did make something. There was something that definitely stood out on this one, because when I'm listening to Dave Erskin talk, in a sense, and then I have the information plus my own information, he's just a liar like the rest of them, just lying, like just full of it. And so Dave Erskin was talking about 9:45 to 10:30 and da-da-da. The clothes were found before the bodies, okay? On there. Like that, like anyone that thinks that the bodies were found first and then the clothes, you need to spin your head around or something like that. But anyways, so that meaning there's some stuff there where, they're being truthful. But it's like these people all keep it, like, for instance, little Frank will lie to you to get information and then claim he hates liars. So what does that do? Can you trust that then? If somebody's going to lie to you just to get information and use you, and then put that information, all that information on thing, but it's like a puzzle piece with him. He doesn't have all the puzzle pieces, and he's trying to fish for answers, and he's trying to claim these certain things. And like I said yesterday, he's trying to ride in with his freaking white horse. And all of a sudden, like, everyone move over. Frankie's here from freaking Netherlands. And I am going to put out everything. And I'm going to find out. And I'm going to hunt you down if you don't tell me the truth. And if you talk badly about Dave Erskin and blah, 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 blah. And then next thing you know, on that same live yesterday, he's like, fuck you, Dave Erskin. Fuck you. Fuck you, buddy. You know, sorry, I might not have done things wrong, but you know what, Dave Erskin, fuck you, because you lied to me. Oh, dude, you lied to him too during that whole thing. So what? Like, what do you mean? You're a hypocrite then, right? You can't sit there and lie to people. And that's the thing is I don't put up with that shit, right? Because I already knew his number right from the get-go of knowing him. And it's just like, I'm not falling for your stuff. Thank you for your information that you keep sending me. But thank you that I've already had this information for a long time. So like I said, that's nothing new. No, most people don't know who Art of Deduction is, okay? He kind of come in here, raising saddles, talking shit. And you know what? All the power to him. You know, he talks to Becky. Becky just wants the truth out there. You know, like meaning Becky wants people just to put out the truthful information, not to make up shit like this video and audio, not to make up crap and whatever. And the family wants you guys to remember Abby and Libby instead of getting lost in, you know, the kerfuffle of everything. Like, how hard is it, for instance, to put up a picture of Abby and Libby's picture, you know, during a live or, you know, or making a post about them? It's not hard, but it's just when you have two girls that were murdered and these families have gone through hell, you know, stuff like that. You know, thing is that no matter how much Becky or anyone tell, especially the Patty family, because they're the ones that have been more in the spotlight, it doesn't matter how much truth they tell, people want to twist their shit all the time. So that's why sometimes I would hear something, I'd go, Becky, can you verify this for me? And she would tell me, right, if it was true or not true. This is long before the gag order, by the way, because I hated the fact that people would keep buying into this shit, and then you realize, you know, in this conversation with, you know, Becky, that, you know, you can't you can't control what other people do, no matter how hard you try. You can only represent your channel in the way that you want to represent it, with hopefully some class, facts, and stuff like that, you know. And that's what we try to do here, is put out facts, put out opinions, put out thoughts, but don't sit there and claim something as fact when it's not fact. Or don't sit there and make up freaking stupid videos that are just sitting there, you know, like, oh, is this some freaking little midget man that's in some leaves? I think that's part of Delphi. If you look close enough at the bridge there's like, you know, this little freaking elf man that people send me and shit like that. It's like, holy shit, come back to the planet already. Like, what?
Okay, I gotta have you or have you not seen things in pictures before?
Have what?
Have you or have you not seen things in pictures before?
Absolutely. Yeah, but that's my work. That's my ass work. I got to take accountability for that, you know. But okay, I get what you're saying there. But
I just had to call you out on that tiny one.
The thing is that okay, like I said, that's my work and shit like that. So okay, if people want to make fun of me and go, you know what, but I'm still waiting, even though, like, internally inside, I'm still waiting to see what the whole crime scene, like, maybe ever comes out looking like, because I'm still curious about that. But I don't believe that, like, I don't know if that bunny that ever was told about, or they called it a bear. I remember they called that a bear.
It looked like a panda bear to me. No, I mean, I didn't believe it was there, but the picture looked like a panda to me, not a bunny.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like when you actually see those crime scene photos, and then you're like, oh, so those were sticks? Oh. So they're saying somehow that, because what happens is when you, of course, play with the picture, you see a piece of darkness, then like almost like cloud, and then darker. And you're like, zoom. What is that? And then when you see the actual pictures, you're like, those were just sticks? Huh? How, you know, how did it like look like more? But I don't want to fully see it because those were only parts of pictures. Like it wasn't like you were looking at a whole crime scene. But I'm pretty sure that no panda bear was sitting there. But maybe I don't know. It's something that wasn't my call. I called it a rabbit because it looked more like a rabbit to me. But that was from like the whole what's his name again? Robert Lindsay stuff. That's where it all started when I was looking because those are the pictures from the Devil's Hop Yard from there.
Yeah.
And you look at it
My
and
thing
you're like,
is, like, growing up in a small town, you will never convince me that a giant ass bear / bunny at a crime scene wouldn't get out to all the locals the first day, within the first 4 hours. So, since it didn't, I do not believe it was there.
what, the bunny? The bear?
Yeah. But almost, besides the fact that I just don't believe in like pictures and stuff like that once you start messing with things, just the fact that small town people weren't talking about it everywhere.
I know. It's always strange. Like with Delphi, though. Delphi, and I'm telling you just from my own personal experience. Okay, people are fucked up. I'm sorry, but I swear to God. But I mean, I understand that people don't want to say talk about a case, especially if they're close to the case. But I've never witnessed so many people that are scared of life. Like, are you scared of your own shadow? Like, it's like, I don't know. It's like such a weird feeling. It's like being in like as if you talk, somebody's going to kill you type of feeling. And
part of it is, and here, okay, so I can't subscribe these feelings to them. I can't say this is what they're going through, but in the town I grew up in, which was about half the size population-wise of Delphi, there was a guy supposedly killed all his kids and his wife and himself in this house, and there were news people everywhere, and they tried to go into like our little convenience store. They tried to go everywhere and nobody would talk. Everybody said like, you need to get out of here, and not as nice words. You need to leave us alone. Like, stop trying to make this a news story. And nobody would talk to them. And it wasn't because they were scared. It's because they were being protective.
Yeah. And I get you. I mean, I guess it's for me. It's just because I'm that personality. Like I'm not a scared person. Yeah. And if somebody says, hey, you want to come on a live and talk about something? Sure. Absolutely. No problem. But it's amazing how many people are like, no, I don't want to give any information, or I don't want to do this, or I don't want to do that. And it was just a vast amount of people. And I'm like, why is everyone just seems so like they don't want to? It's almost like nobody wants to be part of it. When an alarm goes off on a car nowadays and nobody gives a shit, all they're doing is yelling out the window going, turn that fucking thing off. They're not going, oh, is somebody out there that maybe is getting stabbed to death? Nobody's doing that anymore, and stuff like that. And that's why kind of like one of the incidences in Coquitlam, many years back, this girl is screaming and people are just like, shut up. And the next thing you know, they find that she was murdered. But, so that's how it always seems to be, is that everyone's just willing to turn their back and not help with Delphi. That's what it seems like. And it seems like there's just so much lying going on. So, I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of all that stuff, do I think that Delphi, is going to get to the point where, like I said, of course, it gets to the jury, it gets to the evidence, and will they have strong enough for Richard Allen? Yes. Okay. And I'm just hoping that the jury sees it that way as well, and that we see that evidence that goes with it. And hopefully a jury, if it's Richard Allen, rules in that favor. But it's just for me, it's like, why are there so many freaking liars? Like, I mean, I get it. You do drugs, you steal, you do all this stuff. You're pretty much a liar, because most people, will break into buildings. They'll cheat from their friends or family so that they can get their drugs because they're addicted, of course. So I get all that stuff. But no one can seem to tell the truth with Delphi. Very few, let me put it that way. And it's so frustrating. And Dave Erskin is one of those people. It's like you try, but then you listen to him and you're like, dude. So I'm going to go back to my point. So when Frank was talking about something, and this is my own personal opinion, when he was saying something and he's like, dude, I don't even think you were at the crime scene. Now, I have Dave Erskine saying that he was the first person at the crime scene. Okay. And then, but when he couldn't remember, and this is my opinion, you guys can take it however you like it. When he couldn't remember, like, how do you say that your niece had the same clothes on at the bridge and you can't tell the difference between a black jacket and a gray jacket and big pants and all these pants? How do you not remember that? So, is Dave Erskine lying? Or is he telling the truth? I don't know, because he's too busy lying about other shit. You know,
But he
so,
said he was 20 feet away, so it's possible he didn't
okay,
actually get a good look at it.
right. That's what he says. But I don't trust anything that anyone pretty much says anymore.
And
Because
for like the clothes thing though, like this is the same thing I feel about like the other eyewitnesses, because people will say like, well, how can you mistake a PT Cruiser for something else? But you're not looking at them describing, like you're not staring at it describing, you're describing from your memory,
you know,
which is not great.
well, let me just put that. I'm just saying that I find it hard to believe. It's one thing if it was like maybe the jeans, but when you have a totally different jacket, let me put it, you know, and then he was saying, well, I don't think I said that. Dude, that is your text. You already admitted to that. I don't, you know, so when he's talking, or, oh, yeah, did I talk to that? I don't know. That really, dude, because there's proof to show that you did, okay? And one of those things that you just don't forget all that stuff. It just really comes down to, like, it's just, you know, when you're a person that just, you know, if somebody was to ask me something, I'm going to tell you the effing truth. I'm not going to, if I can't say something because a lawyer asked me not to, or the police, I will tell you that I'm not allowed to talk about that. I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm not going to whatever. So that's why it's hard for me when you're dealing with all these liars all the time. And, you know, so I just have a hard time too. Everyone lies a little bit and stuff like that. But with Delphi, it just seems like it doesn't matter. You know, it's just like for instance, I know what he did with those photos. And he sits there and he tries to lie to me. Right. And I said, dude, I literally have proof. Now, I'm not going to show it into his face, because if I showed it into his face, then I'm throwing somebody else underneath the bus. And I'm not going to do that. I'm just good enough knowing that I have the proof, you know, to sit on. And then all of a sudden, so we're getting along fine. And then all of a sudden, he's like, what photos? Shut up. Okay. I literally have proof about those photos and the information. So why are you lying to me still? I thought we were past that part, you know? And so it's just the games, you know, and the reason why he's doing that is because he knows what he did was dirty. He knows what he did was dirty, you know? And so now, hey, say it again.
He should just not talk about it then. Just don't talk to people.
No, me?
No, him.
No, that's the thing. Is that, you know, like he claims that he only talked to whatchamacallit?
Chris Todd.
Yeah, bullshit. You liar. You're talking to me. You know darn well he was talking to other people too. But that's what I'm saying. So what he's saying on there was not truthful. There might be little aspects of it that were truthful, but a lot of what he says is not truthful. So when you can't really trust what people are saying, so do I start trusting now that what he said about saying that Abby had on those clothes or the same clothes, and then all of a sudden somehow you can't tell the difference? You know, do I automatically give you that, you know, oh, I was like, you know, in a whatever card, you know, or do I look at the whole picture of it and go, well, dude, you couldn't tell the truth here. You couldn't tell it there. You couldn't tell it there. So were you really the first person at the crime scene? Because it's not what I heard, but yet he claims he is. And I have him saying that as well. And so I don't
and you know, both things could be true. I mean, he could have been in the group that came across them first, but you know,
yeah.
But did he scream? No, I don't know.
No. Like, is anything that Dave Erskine says, is it gonna tell the answer to Abby and Libby? No. They looked at him, they interrogated him. I have that too, 15 hours, 2 polygraph tests, you know. But is that gonna solve Abby and Libby and what happened to them? No, none of that.
His texts were what we had. The only thing we had about the crime scene and what, like how they were found. But now we have more information that is good information that we can go off. So it kind of like makes that moot for our
Yes.
legal word. The only thing I think that he's like helpful with now potentially is like the location of those clothes and the way he like. Do you remember what he said about like what led him from the clothes to finding the girls? And Frank was like,
Right.
track like footprints, car tracks,
Yeah.
ATV tracks, and he's like, no, it's not something that you would. Damn it! Now that I say that out loud, that sounds like fucking Ives. It's not something you would expect.
I didn't listen. I didn't get a chance to hear the whole thing.
Oh, I turned it back to private because I thought you
I
would have listened to it by now.
I was able to listen to about 20 minutes of it. I don't know how long that was, but
Oh, well,
He said there was something. No, one thing was he did not, and I keep seeing this, and I don't know where that came from. Don Spain said, I remember Erskine saying Abby was sitting up against a tree. I keep hearing that, but that's not in those text messages.
no, it's
So
not.
now I don't know where it came from.
say
It
that
was
one
an
more
early
time.
rumor.
Don Spain said, I remember Erskine saying Abby was sitting up against a tree like a doll, but
No,
up against a tree. But I've heard so many people say that though, that's in those texts, but it's not.
It's not. No, and we had this conversation actually before. I'm not sure if you remember it, Ivy, because everyone kept saying that. And the thing is that I think it was because it was something that was said and it kind of stayed with a lot of people. And I kept saying, no, it does not say that. It says she was laying on the ground like a doll. Like, no, and so I'm sorry, you guys, but on Paranormal TV, okay, she had the psychic. Noreen's a wonderful lady, by the way. But that psychic, I'm sorry, psychic. Don't pretend. Like for me, I was actually disgusted because I hate it when a psychic acts like they don't look at the crime, like the Delphi crime, and then she goes, I'm just seeing both of them up against a tree. Shut the fuck up. You didn't look up that shit because we know as YouTube creators, we know that about the tree, about that it has been said about sitting up on the tree, but we also know that information was wrong, and the information was that she was laying on the ground like a doll. Okay, so again, she would have known that from, like she said, other things too. And apparently Richard Allen has been like poltergeisted or whatever, and he got 4 demons coming out because Noreen said, well, how many?
Was that one? That lady?
Yes. I'm so sorry, but honestly, I was watching it and at first I was like, oh, because I remember that lady. And I mean, good on you, do your work, whatever, solve cases, oh, hallelujah, right? But knowing full well when you follow this case intently and then you're watching somebody that acts like they haven't pulled that information, that they're just pulling it from their random space mind, that the lords are working and their spirits and coming in and and then all of a sudden she's like, yep, it's he has this entity that's about 9 foot tall. And then at some point Noreen says, well, it was said that there was like probably more than one person that was part of this. And she's like, yeah, I believe that there was like 4 demonic spirits that had, that had these different things.
Well, you know what that sets her up for though? Then if it's one person, she can be like, oh, I'm right. And then if it's several people, you can be like, oh, I'm right.
Yeah. So the gist of what she was saying was that, and part of this could be true because it would make sense normally anyway, is that, that Richard Allen maybe had, how people have people talking in their head. They got little devils on their shoulder and saying, and to say, do we know that this is true, that people have these, health issues, mental health issues, and they got their mind talking to them as if somebody else is talking to them, and they have split personalities, whatever. Okay. So the gist of what she seemed to be saying was that Richard Allen seemed to basically had kind of like gone to that place, I think a few times, like had gone there in a sense. And he was waiting for that perfect opportune moment to, not that Abby and Libby were say targets, but they happened to be the victims. And that he, was on a mission. His little demon there was telling him like, okay, right, this is your golden opportunity now, did it. And that could very well be possible. Okay. We don't know enough about Richard Allen. That, maybe he has this, like these things that talk in his head. And, you know what I mean? Like Brian Koberger, for instance. But anyway, so that he basically, did that, and that his demon spirit, this 9 foot tall demon spirit thing, is basically saying, yeah, like, you can do it, like, go about it. And that he himself and these 3 other spirit demons, took over his thoughts and basically made him commit this crime. In a sense, that was really the gist of it. But it's when you're giving information about this case and then you're pretending like you didn't Google anything and that these are, and the whole tree thing just made me laugh. Oh, and then one was sexually assaulted, that one of the girls was. Well, everyone knows following this case that it was said by Erskine himself that there was no, like, meaning there would be like DNA and stuff like that, that it wasn't the type of sexual assault that, that would typically happen. We know that Libby was, unclosed and stuff like that, but it was just different things. And I'm just like, lady, come on now. Did anybody else watch it? Adam? No.
I love it how, in general, most psychics somehow they magically end up seeing one of the popular theories at the time.
Did anybody else watch it? Because most people don't know of that channel. Most people don't. Angela Thomas has been on our show and she was on Noreen's channel and that's how I got to know her. But yeah, I'm just going to stick with most things, like, I believe that people have those issues, right? Obviously. And maybe Richard Allen, does have little, like, people that talk to him up in his head. Who knows? We don't know enough about the guy. We know that the police were called back in 2015 for, what was it? Was it domestic issue, and stuff like that. And we know he's a drinker, or he was anyway, smoker and whatever. But we just don't know enough about Richard Allen to decide, was he into some sort of ritualistic stuff? Did he have a lot, mental health issues, or people talk to him inside his head and stuff like that. So I don't know. You guys can talk about whatever you want now. I'm done. I've talked a lot. I've talked more than I probably wanted to.
I wish that Aspen, I don't know if Charmaine did, but I wish that Aspen had heard that one little part of that interview where Erskine was talking about what led him from the...
Oh, right. Yeah.
I can't remember what he said. Oh, here's something, and this might... I don't even know if I want to talk about this publicly or not, but the deer story. What's your opinion on the deer story?
Start with you, Adam.
Meaning that, what they spotted the deer through the phone.
Are you even paying attention to this live?
Of course I am. Yeah. But I haven't listened to the audio, so I don't know exactly what.
No, but
they didn't talk about that in there. This is separate.
Okay.
What do you guys think in chat?
Didn't he say, like, in that audio, he said he denied that, like, when he was asked if they first spotted the deer?
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't the one that was supposedly saw the deer.
No, but he said that was false in the audio.
He didn't see it.
I thought he said that it was false.
I thought he said that he didn't see it.
No, he said, I feel like he said that it wasn't true. I feel like that's what he said. I'd have to go back.
CJK says he said no deer. It was something else, but he couldn't say what.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what do you guys think? What do you think it would be, Adam? So if basically Triple F Frank there is saying, well, I know you're not supposed to ask, but let me just ask you, is it foot tracks? Is it, visually, something? Is it tracks? And he's like, well, what do you mean tracks? And then he goes, well, like a ATV. And then he said about Ello and Amy, about the quads there. But he was like, dancing. And I'm like, well, first of all, why did he not even think to say blood? Was like, so, or the clothes or whatever. Because then basically Little Frank said something like, or I remember, Dav Erskin said something like, it's nothing what you're talking about. It's nothing even close to what you're talking about what it was that led. And then it was almost like a question like, so David Erskin said something like, it's nothing that you would, like, at first glance, you wouldn't notice it. And then all of a sudden you see it. What do you got? I think it's blood.
I have no idea.
It was kind of that the whole question was, yeah, like what actually led to the finding of the girls?
Yeah, Frank thinks that it's drag marks, and it's
Right.
just not.
It's not.
Yeah, I mean that was always that was always a rumor, because wasn't that because of the whole Kyle what's his name, where people thought they saw
Yeah.
ATV tracks, but
Mm.
I mean it could have been just the girls themselves were spotted.
No.
I mean it could have been, wasn't there a yellow rope hanging in the tree?
Yeah.
Not.
I have no idea.
I don't know if that's a joke. Was that a joke or not, or was that a serious?
I think
I was joking.
Okay, it's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, I think he was being serious and then he called it a joke because I was like, wait, the yellow rope didn't get there until after the searchers were there, right?
Well, we just know there was one at the crime scene.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Oh, right. Okay, I see. So
There's like 3 different stories of how they were, even before like listening to this interview. There was the very initial article that said that prints, I don't know if it said just prints or footprints, or tracks, something like that. But to me, it sounded like they followed somebody's footprints in. And then there was the deer story. And then there was the Erskine. Because so like, who was Pat Brown with?
I feel like in that photo that Triple F keeps showing to show the drag marks, I don't see drag marks, but I do see 2 distinct footprints in that
Same.
embankment.
yeah.
So that could be something that led them
Yeah.
to look
Well,
up there. And
It would surprise me
were
if there weren't footprints somehow. I'm sorry,
I was-
Jeremy.
I think that those were there by the searchers.
Could be.
Like, I don't believe that those were there by, because he said no to footprints. And he said that there was no drag marks. Like, meaning he said that there was no drag marks.
And remember, like, you know, they put a lot of emphasis on that every time, like, I've heard like law enforcement talk about the crime scene, that, you know, I feel like they constantly mention the challenges that they had because of the searchers. And, you know, I mean, they said spitting, they said, you know, urinating.
I hope that wasn't
so-
at the actual scene.
I'm sorry.
I hope that wasn't at the actual scene and they meant like surrounding
They
areas.
consider
the
the
area.
crime scene from
You know, I mean the
south
area.
side of the bridge all the way to where they
Yeah,
were
well,
found.
Right.
That is the crime scene.
That's
You know
what
what I
Doug
mean,
Carter had said
yeah,
was the
that's-
crime scene.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would. I mean, I can't imagine how. Like, it would be odd to me if there weren't footprints leading from the creek. If you crossed a creek and then you walked onto, walked onto the creek bank. I mean, it was cold, but it was warm enough that I would think you'd leave at least some impression. But yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what led them to it. I mean, the irony, if it were like 2 deer standing right where the girls were, that would be odd to me. But
I've
yeah,
heard
we've all heard it.
stories of deer being like curious of stuff like that. I don't know if they're true, but I've heard that from several people. Like after hearing that story, then they would like tell another story, you know?
Would deer
I've
be
never-
attracted to blood?
No,
I don't know.
because they would want to stay as far away from that because
what I
of
thought.
other predators in the area. That's
Right. That's
I
what I
don't-
thought.
I don't know about deer.
Mm.
well, they're not carnivores and they're prey, and they know they're prey, so they know that they're going to stay away from,
Right.
dead animals
So would it
or
make sense
anything
that-
else.
Would it make
I don't
sense
know,
that
like,
the deer
are
gonna
there
be in the-
bears or something in that area, or is
So
there?
then
any
like what's the point of the deer story?
I have no idea.
Weird, because why would Kelsey it's not something like she would purposely lie about or anything like
It
that.
would make no sense to lie about it. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm curious. I am curious.
don't think
But when you
None of
asked like
them
what
are
we thought brought
lying.
it, drew them to it, I have no idea.
None of them are lying, but they're going off of what they heard, right? Like,
Yeah.
that
Right.
doesn't make it fact. That's just what they were first told, and that's what's stuck in their head as truth. And that's why I keep saying they have, even no matter what side you're on or whatever, it doesn't matter what we think of law enforcement, they have no choice but to trust that law enforcement did their job. And so,
Mhm.
do you know what I mean? They believe what they've been told, because at the beginning, nothing was, there was no question that law enforcement was doing there. I went back and I listened to my episode on Delphi, and I was surprisingly supportive of law enforcement like a year ago. And to go from my attitude back then to how I feel right now, night and day. But I'm just saying, with all this new information that comes out, we change our minds, maybe. But I mean, at the time, they had no other choice, or probably thought to even question the stories that they were hearing.
And just
Like
to answer
the deer
mommy.
story.
No, sorry. Just to answer mommy. Yes, mommy, we do know that it was the south side. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Shimmy.
No, I was done. I was babbling there after. I'm tired. I'm going to go soon.
Oh yeah.
it's
Remember,
late.
you're right. We're gonna I say we got like what, maybe 20 minutes left. 20 minutes. Because it's 9:41. 19 minutes, folks. We'll do 19 minutes on there. So if there's any questions in chat, or if anybody wants to say anything of that, Lisa, can you just call and recite her statements for me while I lay down tonight? Oh, okay. On there. Lisa, could you just do that for all of us? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, if there's anyone that has anything that they want to ask or anything, and again, happy birthday to, well, it's over now. And happy birthday to your wife right now. What link is that? Conversation. Travis, well, if that's Jermaine leaving, then I'm out of here.
I'm still a little bit hungover. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. You're not getting
What'd
any
you do?
younger. Not getting any younger.
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's bad.
And Alexa's in Spain now. Just so you know.
Oh, nice.
When I messaged her last night, I'm like, so when are you leaving? And she's like, I'm on a plane right now. I said, keychain. Don't forget my keychain. Obviously, Chaotic Beauties. She said she was, what was she doing? She said she was melting wax for cards. So that's why she asked me for my address today. I personally said, is it a house? Is it a Lambo? Okay, is it a money tree? And then I seen her say that she was waxing for cards or whatever. And I'm like, or waxing to the envelopes. And I'm like, that's what she's sending me, a card with $1 million, right? Right, Chaotic Beauty? So anyways, yeah. So now I know it. I you know what? I don't even get Christmas cards, to be honest with you. I remember back in the day, you used to hang them up and, open them up and hang them up on string. I don't even get
Christmas. Not to send me one.
Yeah, usually the Christmas card I'll get is from some stupid like realtor that's going, never looking to sell your home, and then you open it up and it's a Christmas card, and you're like, garbage. Kelsey's. Okay, what is this word that Deb keeps trying to say?
Symposium.
I've never heard of that word.
It's like a seminar.
Oh, okay.
Smaller words, Deb. Smaller words.
Yeah, smaller words, Deb. Come on now.
You know your audience. Come on now.
Okay, let me take a look.
Oh, Deb says, if you send cards, you will reciprocate cards, honey. Just like, things like respect and love.
Oh, yeah. The only thing I send my cards through is either through email or messenger.
I asked everybody for their addresses, and you gave me some smart ass.
Who did?
You did.
No, who's the one that sent me a heating pad?
You have our addresses.
Yeah.
I forgot I had yours.
What about mine?
And now I have yours, but when I first asked for it for the Christmas cards,
I gave you a smart ass. I think I was like 69 ho 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 or something like that.
Yeah. But it was a good thing because that was a joke. It was a Rick Astley card.
Yeah.
When you open it up, it sang that song and it wouldn't shut up until the battery died, and it lasted for days. It would go on for days. And then if you tried to break it, it was filled with glitter. Yeah. So I thought it would be super fun to send it to all of you. And then I decided it would be mean. So I didn't.
Well, this person has, let me
I'm going to send everyone merch from like my least favorite YouTube channels.
Everybody's getting a Gray Hughes mug.
I did not name names.
I didn't.
I wasn't even thinking of him.
I don't even know.
Here, you guys, let me play this out for a minute. This hypnosium thing. Symposium. There we go.
I knew it in my spirit. Being a father, know my son's birth, and nephew's birth. I knew it in my spirit something was wrong.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today, and welcome to the inaugural Cold Case Symposium. This event is the first of its kind, where it's bringing together academics, students, family members, advocates, and organizations to build a collective community of people that have the same goal and the same interest, talk about ways that we can build this network, support these cases, and aid in these investigations.
During National Forensic Science Week this year, here at ASU, we had activities and events throughout the week to allow our students to engage with each other and with experts. But we wanted to tie up that week by having an event that wasn't just for our students, but for the community as well. Dr. Hans and I were talking after I had run the first iteration of the cold case class here at ASU, and we really wanted to find a way to share our students' work, for the public to be able to see what our students have been doing.
In the US, there's over 270,000 cold cases, with about 5,000 new cold cases being added every year. And so a cold case is just a case that is unresolved, whether it's due to lack of investigative leads, not enough resources, not enough support. They have no way to continue the investigation.
Listening to the different number of cold cases, it's a little heart-wrenching. That many cases, that many people have been affected. So thinking that I can go into a field of work where I can help some of these people in the future not go to that state before they become a cold case as a forensic scientist, we can dwindle down that number and find some relief for different families.
I would say, in addition to sharing things online, like if you see a missing person flyer, share it. Share it with like no care in the world, right? Just keep sharing it. But if you see something that looks a little bit questionable, I would ask you to take a second and maybe think about it before you share it. If it's some insane conspiracy theory that could possibly hurt someone.
I learned so much today. I'm not really sure where to start. It was really striking to me to see how well the families work with each other, and then also with local, state, and federal agencies. That collaborative impact really drives forward momentum in these cold cases. So I'm excited to take that back and really drive to my students that this is real, this is ongoing. You, as a junior or senior in high school, have the opportunity to provide really significant impact and drive resolution in your own community.
I had multiple students after this event come up to me and tell me how much they enjoyed it, especially our students that were able to attend in person. It allowed them to sit here and listen to stories and understand about the work that they're doing in the classroom has real value in the real world. We plan to continue and host this event annually with increased participation and involvement from our students, with the plan to allow other students from other universities to also attend virtually to be able to share this across the country.
As a partner for this event, Arizona State University is really ideal with the growth that we've seen in their forensic science program. ASU has been wonderful in supporting this event, and I think it's been a really fantastic partnership between our universities.
Okay. That was cool. That's it.
That's it.
That was cool. I was trying to eat my chicken burger while I was watching it.
ASU is where my boyfriend got his master's degree. They have a lot of like online programs.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for giving that link, by the way.
I'm just trying to look at all the other videos you watched now. Like, what's our suggested videos here?
I saw someone on Twitter and they had very strong opinions about this. The abbreviation for the Indiana Supreme Court is not, I don't even know how to sound that out. The SEOIN, it's not that. It's ISC, I think is what they said.
Yeah.
They were very adamant about it.
But SCON is not Supreme Court of Indiana.
They said it was ISC, Indiana Supreme Court.
Officially, yes. They're correct.
Well, that other one's a silly one. It reminds me, do you guys remember Scions, the car?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it reminds me of.
Same. Took me a while to figure out what that meant, actually. I was like, I don't know. I thought it was some sort of religion almost, or something like I don't know, like Scion or Scion or. I was like, what?
Lisa said that there was supposed to be a Kelsey speech in that, but it was the wrong link. But she'll try to find.
Well, that's what I thought was going to happen. But then I just kind of went with what was being showed. I thought maybe you're just giving, what kind of happens at those places.
That's sound cool.
On there, but yeah. What is it? So, yeah. Well, we'll wait a couple more minutes. What else you guys got to say? I need to put water in there.
I can't wait until the oral arguments.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Just a month away in a week.
Yeah, yeah. So 5 weeks.
And then add another few weeks onto the decision, and hey, maybe by Valentine's Day we'll have an answer.
Yeah. You think Lisa's teasing us this time?
Who?
Lisa.
Oh,
Well, I hope so.
Except for I'm not seeing the link myself yet.
Oh, I like Dev's. Give this channel a thumbs up. Like she just copy and pasted it into other ones.
No, I didn't.
To whom it may concern.
Right.
It's a very generic plug.
I'm just playing.
But a plug nonetheless.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay, hold on. Oh wait. What is there a timestamp there besides the 3 hours?
1 hour mark.
Oh, 1 hour mark. Thanks, Lisa. Okay, let's.
What does Lisa have to do with this? I told you.
She said it right there.
I know, but I told you.
She said, "Shut up." Oh, Deb said, "Shut up, Aspen."
That's fair.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, let's see here. But the 1 hour mark. Okay.
Copy on the left for you guys that my sister took the day they went to this bridge. We'll talk a little bit more about that picture later, but it is very important. So February 13th, 2017 was a snow makeup day. That might not be something that's common. You guys might not know what that is because we're in Arizona, but that's basically just a built-in day where if it doesn't snow, we get the day off. We just get to hang out at home and have fun. That year they started e-learning, so we actually had to do homework anyway, which sucked, but Abby and Libby made the most of it. Abby stayed the night the day before and they just hung out. They were doing art projects. My sister was working on this desk. It was a super old desk. It'd been in our family forever, and she wanted to make it into some like beautiful artwork. It had black legs now, and she was going to put music notes all over the top. So they'd started working on that morning. When I was finally up and getting ready, I had to go to work. I was going to my boyfriend at the time's house that day, so we worked at the same place, and I was going to hang out with him, and Libby asked me to take them to High Bridge, which is the bridge you see in the middle. I dropped them off at the area on the right. So this is a place that we would go and hang out. We would go and take pictures. These pictures look a little scary, but I promise it's not that scary. This is a very high up bridge. It's about, I think, 67 feet off the ground. It's an old abandoned railroad trestle. And they had geocaches hidden at this bridge. So we would go there, find the geocaches, do the treasure hunt, and then take pictures and go home. So this was a place that me and Libby had frequented. Abby, I don't think had been there, but maybe once or twice. And they just went there to enjoy the beautiful day. It was unreasonably warm for February, warm as in 60 degrees. So you guys would probably be wearing a sweater, but we were not because it had been winter for so long, it had been so cold. So all we really needed was a light jacket, which you see Abby wearing. After Libby asked me, I told her I had plans, so I couldn't go with her, but if she found a ride, I would drop her off and she would find a ride home. So that is what happened. She told me that she had found a ride home. I took them to the bridge around 1:30 and dropped them off. That would be the last time I would see my sister alive or in any capacity for a week. So the next day, so that evening, actually, I was sitting at my boyfriend's house. We were talking. Chase was getting ready for work, and I was sitting down watching a movie with his dad and his sister. And my phone rang. It was across the room. I didn't answer it the first time. I was like, it's probably nobody important. I'm just going to work. I'm at my boyfriend's house. Nobody really is paying attention to what I'm doing, so why do I need to answer it? Then it rang the second time, and I got up, I picked up my phone, and it was my grandma. And we lived with my grandparents at the time, so it was normal for her to call and check in, see where I was. But when I answered, she was frantic, which was also very normal. She's the person that freaks out over everything. I just thought she was over exaggerating. She freaked out and said, Kelsey, have you seen Libby? Have you talked to her? She hasn't answered her phone. And your dad's there to pick her up. And this is around 4 o'clock. That's super abnormal for Libby. If she knew that somebody was coming to pick her up, she would have answered. She always had her phone in her hand. She was making, I believe it was music please at the time, all the time, always taking pictures. She was always texting someone. So it didn't make sense why she wasn't answering. So I got up, I said I'll be there in 10 minutes, and I drove to the bridge. I had to call off work and find a replacement before I could go over there. And so I did that. By the time I got to the bridge, my entire family was there searching. We'd walked down this trail. It's a super long trail. So if you go to the part where I dropped them off at that sign, there's like a gate there in this picture that wasn't there at this time. And it was a very long walk, I believe half a mile, to get back to the bridge where the girls had been going. So we actually got to the bridge. I walked across it. Actually, I say that I ran across it, but I would never cross that bridge if I didn't have to. So these railroad trestles are so old and worn out that some of them had fallen. So a normal sized person could fall through one of these trestles. Even like where Abby is standing, there's a big gap not too far from her in that picture. They're very large and very scary. Somebody definitely could have fallen. So our fear initially was that one of them had fallen. Libby wasn't answering her phone, so we thought maybe she dropped her phone over the edge of the bridge, and then they went to get it. They went over the bridge to the private driveway that's underneath there, and they got hurt trying to get down there to get to her phone. That's kind of where our initial thoughts were going. So our search as a family went on until about 5:30 p.m. At 5:30, we all went to the police station, where we were able to file a report, but law enforcement told us that the girls probably ran away. They were mad, they were angry, they were bad teenagers. They wanted to be rebels and get away from us for whatever reason, so there was nothing they could do. There were people saying that there were sightings of them at a gym not far away, but they would have had to walk over an hour to get to the nearest gym that they were saying that they were at. So we sat in the police station all night as searches were going on. It wasn't an organized search. Police were out there. That evening, a lot of our family, our friends, people from around our town were there, but it wasn't set up and organized, and it was very dangerous territory, so it was hard to get around. It's very hilly there. I guess compared to our normal cornfields and soybeans is very hilly. So it was hard for people to search and see anything safely. So around 10 o'clock, 10:30, law enforcement called the search off. They said it was too dark, they couldn't get lights there, no one could see, so they had to call the police search off. But our friends and our family continued to search out there throughout the night, and nothing came up. We weren't able to find anything. There were no signs of the girls anywhere. People had crossed the bridge, they'd gone in the woods near it, and nobody was able to find any idea that the girls were even in the area. So the next day, the organized search was started. Law enforcement took us all to our fire station. And at the fire station, we were separated into groups that went all over town and crazy locations that I don't understand why we were there. So part of us were on one side of town. There were people at the bridge all over the woods on this side. There were people in the cornfields that surrounded it. 2 towns over, we were all over the place. My group, though, was one of the groups that went to Monon High Bridge. So we went to the bridge, and then our group actually separated into 2 groups. My group went over Monon High Bridge, and the other group, where my dad and my other sister were, actually went in the woods closer to where the girls were found. These are just some pictures I took off of Google. They all came from like local news stations, just showing the area we were in. We were all over the place, but once my group, actually half of my group, because some of us were very scared to cross the bridge. Once we crossed the bridge, we searched for what seemed like forever in this area of trees that you see just below the circle where it says Monon High Bridge. There's tons of land. We searched the trees for what felt like 3 hours, I think. And then as soon as we decided we didn't find anything and that we needed to go somewhere else to another location to look, we heard somebody yell from just a little ways away, it was about 12:30, that they'd found a shoe. So since I was there, me and my family were around this area, they'd asked me what shoes the girls were wearing. And I knew the picture of Abby that my sister had posted the day before. Abby had black Converse on. So I told them that. I wasn't sure what my sister was wearing.
I'm going to stop that for 1 sec. So she says it was approximately 12:30, but yet 12:15 is when it came out. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm confused about that. So, I mean, she's saying approximately. So maybe that she found the shoe. So she's probably just off on her time a bit, eh?
Like 15 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously the clothing would have been found even sooner.
No.
Yeah, wasn't it like 12:17 that the girls?
11:13. The picture of the clothes was taken at 11:13.
No, I know, but the girls, I think, I mean, it could, I think it was 12:17, 12:14 or 12:17.
And wasn't there some discussion about the timestamp on that picture could have been Central Time Zone, even though Delphi's in Eastern Standard Time. So I think I've heard it said both 11:13 and 12:13 because I've heard the timestamp could be off an hour.
Well, remember what David Erskine was talking about in that video, and he was talking about between the one that unit did only watch 20 minutes of.
Oh yeah, so maybe I've not seen that part then.
Well, right, and so David Erskine talks about 9:45 to 10:30 area. So, and I think if I'm not mistaken, Travis said something about, it doesn't account for the change in time or something like that. And Erskine had talked about 9:45 to 10:30, and little Triple F Frank there said that Becky said that 11:30 is when she got the phone call. So that's not making sense at all then to what Kelsey's just saying about time now.
The most traumatic day of their lives,
exactly.
Though.
Well, I know that, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, we can say that for almost everything about didn't see the clothes, but I'm just wondering, like, is she that far off of her time? I don't know. It just caught me when she was talking about 12:30. I'm like, well, wait a second. That's past the time that they've already found the girls, let alone the clothes. So it could simply be that she just has her time way off. But that's quite a bit of time to be off, though. But who knows? I'll just play it out still.
But after the shoe was found, the same person, actually opened up his cell phone camera and scanned the woods across the river and found what he described as 2 bodies, but it wasn't set up,
Just backing it up
organized,
for a sec.
and it was very dangerous territory, so it was hard to get around. It's very hilly there, I guess, compared to our normal cornfields and soybeans is very hilly. So it was hard for people to search and see anything safely. So around 10 o'clock, 10:30, law enforcement called the search off. They said it was too dark, they couldn't get lights there, no one could see, so they had to call the police search off. But our friends and our family continued to search out there throughout the night, and nothing came up. We weren't able to find anything. There were no signs of the girls anywhere. People had crossed the bridge, they'd gone in the woods near it, and nobody was able to find any idea that the girls were even in the area. So the next day, the organized search was started. Law enforcement took us all to our fire station, and at the fire station, we were separated into groups that went all over town and crazy locations that I don't understand why we were there. So part of us were on one side of town. There were people at the bridge all over the woods on this side. There were people in the cornfields that surrounded it. 2 towns over, we were all over the place. My group, though, was one of the groups that went to Monon High Bridge. So we went to the bridge, and then our group actually separated into 2 groups. My group went over Monon High Bridge, and the other group, where my dad and my other sister were, actually went in the woods closer to where the girls were found. These are just some pictures I took off of Google. They all came from like local news stations, just showing the area we were in. We were all over the place, but once my group, actually half of my group, because some of us were very scared to cross the bridge. Once we crossed the bridge, we searched for what seemed like forever in this area of trees that you see just below the circle where it says Monon High Bridge. There's tons of land. We searched the trees for what felt like 3 hours, I think. And then as soon as we decided we didn't find anything and that we needed to go somewhere else to another location to look, we heard somebody yell from just a little ways away, it was about 12:30, that they'd found a shoe. So since I was there, me and my family were around this area, they'd asked me what shoes the girls were wearing. And I knew the picture of Abby that my sister had posted the day before. Abby had black Converse on. So I told them that. I wasn't sure what my sister was wearing. But after the shoe was found, the same person actually opened up his cell phone camera and scanned the woods across the river and found what he described as 2 bodies laying on the other side of the creek. And so at that point, everybody around me was saying, it's nothing, you don't know who they are, let's not get freaked out. But we're in a town of less than 3,000 people. I know who's over there. You aren't going to keep me from freaking out by telling me that. It's not going to calm me down. But one of my grandfathers was also on that side of the bridge. And so I saw him and automatically went into protect my family mode. I thought he was going to have a heart attack or something, and I needed to save him. So I went to him, and we actually went to his house, where then we later got the phone call that we needed to go to the command center, which is the fire station or city hall. At city hall, we were all brought into this big room, and they notified us that 2 girls were found not too far from the bridge. It's about half a mile from the beginning of the bridge to where they were found, but that they couldn't tell us who it was at that point. They brought us all into these rooms afterwards to be interrogated and questioned, and we were all separated and brought in to talk to FBI agents who I'd found out are not very nice at all, actually quite awful. But They were just doing their jobs. And this is kind of where my memory mostly stops. I don't really remember the days and weeks after that.
I'm gonna stop it there. Let's see here. Go back over here. And then come back on and we'll just do a little bit of final thoughts on this stuff. Okay, who wants to say anything about what Kelsey was just saying, or shoes or anything?
I'm thinking that when the shoe was found, just based on everything we know, that would also be the same time the clothes were found, right? Because the shoe is with the clothes.
Well, right, which is on the north side.
And they just asked, like, what kind of shoes did the girls have? Because they saw a shoe. I mean, it's very, if you think about it logically, it's not that hard to understand. And I've heard many channels say, well, there's 3 shoes. There's something wrong here. No, there's not 3
that's
shoes.
logical.
There's not 3 shoes.
Right. It's either clickbait or it's just they're not listening.
Right.
The stories that we've heard don't really match up to that, but like you guys said, that could just be from this. So like basically from the family, you're going to hear the stories from the people who are claiming to like have experienced that. So they can only go off that, because what we heard back then was that JJ, we'll say Jake Johns, I'll just say his name, saw through the camera. That was how he saw him. But it sounds like in that story, the person at the close, which I would assume would be Erskine, but maybe somebody else was in his group. That's the other thing that we have to remember, is that there were groups. Those people weren't by themselves individually.
And
apparently it was Elo and May.
Yeah.
Apparently it was supposed to be Elo and May that took the pictures. And they're the ones that would have that shadow picture there.
Yeah, that's Elo.
You know. Yeah.
What name were you saying?
Elo and May. Amy. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Abby's aunt and uncle.
Abby, yes, yeah. So in the defense memorandum, the 136 page, it says that even though they got, I don't know, somebody's got it wrong, because in the affidavit, it said that the phone was found underneath Abby. In the defense thing, it says that the phone and shoe, Libby's shoe, because Abby obviously has 2 shoes on, for those of you that have seen the crime scene pictures. Okay, so she had Converse. Libby had Nikes. So there were, in the defense memorandum, it says that there was a shoe and a phone found underneath Abby. In the affidavit, it says that there was a phone found underneath Libby. So so there's some mix-up, something going on there. Now, then there's the tie-dye shirt, whatever's in the next thing, whether it's Abby's or, well, you know, I'll just say that sweater that Abby had on, whether it was that, and then the Nike shoe. Okay, so which was on the north side. Okay, not the south side, but it was on the north side. So when Kelsey is saying that, she's just saying that somebody called up to say that they found the shoe. So it's not like there's this huge distance between south and north, in a sense. So that area, wherever they are exactly, right, is...
Well, I think we decided the other night, didn't we, Sunny, that it was 25 feet further away than the girls were. So that would make sense if it was on the north side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, very narrow creek.
Yeah. I mean, the thing was, the girls were found on the north side. It was said in the affidavit that it was about 75 feet away from the clothes, from the crime scene. And we were just trying to determine if it was, well, is it on the south side or the north side?
Where was it said that it was 75? The clothes were 75 feet away from the...
It was in one of those things that always stuck in my head from a long time ago. I don't know if it was in the Keener thing that he said that.
He said that he saw clothes 75 feet away from where he was.
Yeah, I thought it was 75 feet from the bank, from the bank or whatever. So however, I understood it was 20. The clothes were 25 feet away from where the girls were found, which was fairly close. Because if they were 50 feet from the bank and the clothes were 25 feet, that would be on the opposite side of the bank. About.
They were on the north side, so same side as the bank that the girls were on.
Right.
So basically, somewhere right there over that embankment that we're kind of looking at in the picture, the bottom one there, or where that guy is standing. So somewhere in that area is where the clothes, the shoe and Nike shoe were found. Because remember, when they're coming down off that embankment, it's not like they're going right down beside the bridge. They've gone over across. You know where that land of water is? Because that's why Erskine kept saying that
Sandbar.
when Triple F, Little Frank said, you know, like about the crime scene, because he was asking him specifically about this guy. And then Dave Erskine wanted to kind of put some, you know, a placement, because he's like, well, where's that place in the water where that, you know, where it kind of comes up like a little embankment, like
He's had like
Sandbank. Or
a shoe.
sandbar, yeah. And because you guys know like where those searches are, just above that somewhere is that sandbar, where it's like it partially sticks out with the grainy grassy stuff, and then back underneath and stuff like that. So and then again we heard that Kelsey said 12:30, but yet the timestamp, the metadata was 11:13 for when the picture was taken. So so whoever took that picture, because I think what was it, Travis or somebody was saying, was that maybe it was Adam. So if you take a picture and then you send it off to somebody, it's going to have a different metadata. It's still going to be from that day, but it's going to have a different timestamp to it, as how it was said.
I don't think I was the one that said
No,
that,
it
but I
wasn't
know what
you.
you're talking about. But I know what you're talking about, and that's why I was saying. That's why I've heard both 11:13 a.m. and 12:13, because Indiana is not far from the Central Time Zone.
Thank you,
And
Lola.
so even though Delphi is in the Eastern Standard Time, which would be 12:13 p.m. if you're going off those things, Central Time Zone is not far at all.
Yeah,
which would be 11:13.
Radar, I think, lives in Central Time.
Yeah, and so that's why, I mean, I don't know, but I've heard both said, but it would make sense to me that could explain why there's that discrepancy in 12:13 to 11:13.
Mm-hmm. You're just gonna have to pull up the article for Keener after, because now I'm getting confused. Yard? Would he say yards? Does he say feet? Whatever.
I was
And do we know where Keener was standing when he
I think
where he's referencing when he says that?
Yeah,
we don't know exactly where he's standing.
I think he's either on the bridge or right off the bridge.
I heard he was on the bridge, and that was the first thing that I heard. It was 75 yards, but then the other night when I said that's almost a football field, Sonny said, no, it's feet.
Because that's not where he was. That's not.
Yards.
I want to see that article again. Go ahead.
It's yards. As he says, from 75 yards away, I could see girls' clothing in Deer Creek east of the bridge and knew full well what the girls were found very nearby. So yards. So that's 3/4 of a football field.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Which would make sense if he's standing on the bridge.
Can you say it one more time?
Yes. From 75 yards away, I could see girls' clothing in Deer Creek east of the bridge and knew full well that the girls were found very nearby.
Okay. So that's referring to him being on the bridge looking over to Eastway? Is that what you're saying?
That's how I take it.
Right. Well, I think she's just pointing out that it's 75 yards and not feet.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what? I can't even visualize that in my head right now. I mean, I can sit there and take my feet and go, okay, but that's, husband size feet, like 12. But yeah.
Go Google, when we get off, Google football, and then it's 3/4 of a football field.
When I get off, I am.
That's how I measure everything, is in football fields.
Yeah,
me too.
I don't even think to do that, to be honest with you.
I don't have any football fields handy to measure things by.
I think of like a 50-meter dash in track and field and stuff like that. And I'm like, how much is that again?
I can do that one.
That's okay, Deb. It was the other night that had me confused because, like I said, I thought that I had read somewhere that it was 75 yards, and then we got to talking about the flow direction of the water, and we decided that it was 75 feet. So then I was started to think, well, the girls were 50 feet from the bank, so it would make sense if
It's like 4.5, 15-meter dashes, by the way.
Are you looking at the article? Because I want to say that visually in my head, I remember a picture of Keener in the woods, in that article, and I could be totally wrong, but I remember Keener in the woods, not on the bridge, but in the woods, and reading that article, and that's I think why that stuck with me like that. So I could totally be wrong. Are you looking at the article right now?
No, I just found a screenshot of it.
Of the article? Oh, okay. I just remember there was a picture, and it could have been just the fact that they placed the picture with the words, but that's where I think it stuck in my head that it was near the crime scene because he was at the crime scene, and the picture I remember in my head is him in this woods, kind of like you're seeing right now above, and then this article saying about the clothing. And so that's why in my head I just always stuck that it was 75 yards from like about the crime scene.
Oh, here I have a screenshot of his actual Facebook post.
Oh, sure.
And I won't read the top part because it's just talking about murders and like how terrible it is. Let's see, it says detectives found the bodies of 2 missing teens near a rural hiking trail below the abandoned Monon High Railroad Bridge. The bridge itself is incredibly beautiful, making it difficult to witness a horrific murder scene so nearby. From 50 yards away, I could see girls' clothing in Deer Creek east of the bridge and knew full well that the girls were found very nearby. To walk in a place that a murderer had walked only a handful of hours earlier is extremely upsetting, but as journalists, it's a part of the business that simply needs done to tell the news of our area. So from that, since he's talking about the bridge, because it says the bridge itself is incredibly beautiful, blah, 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 from 75 yards away. So to me, that it's not clear, but it makes it sound like the bridge.
I know. I was going to say, it's one of those things, right, where you're going, okay, because you're referring to the bridge. Is that, are you talking about that you're talking from the bridge? Or are you just saying that the bridge is, a beautiful place? So, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you could almost twist that. But we're just, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, to be honest, because none of that is going to solve what happened to Abby and Libby, besides letting us know as true crime sleuth going, okay, well, if we have the clothes here and the crime scene here, you know what I mean? Just visually.
I still would like to know exactly where the clothes were, like pinpoint.
Same. It was driving me crazy for a while there. And it was just for personal knowledge. Again, visually, you just kind of like to have it shown in a sense so that people understand it as well. Like, here's the crime scene here. Here's where the clothes were, this is what was here. There was a sock missing, a pair of underwear missing.
I've heard a lot of people say they were found under the bridge, which that's not right.
No.
I heard there was a belt under the bridge.
Yeah.
We should just do like a field trip. We can all bring a yardstick and we'll play leapfrog.
Yeah. Deb, go play leapfrog. There you go.
No, I said we all of us. We should.
I'm saying Deb before Christmas time. Just go. Yeah. Nothing's
I
gonna
feel like you're no fun at all. Like, you have a passport. We could drive there. It can be done.
Yeah.
I don't think Sunny's allowed in the U.S. She just doesn't want to tell anyone.
No criminal record.
Ever since she grew up in Indiana, next to Keegan Dunker's grandparents, she's not allowed back in the state.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe one day a road trip, eh? Charmaine will drive down, pick me up, we'll head on down. Then we got to head all the way east. That'd be like a couple days trip.
It would be smarter just to meet you there.
Can't I just go see? Well, wait, no, Pennsylvania, Idaho. Where?
Idaho is doable. We could do that. It's right over your border, man. Right? It's 4 hours from you.
Coburger case now.
You could probably, Sonny, why aren't you going to the trial? You could be there like within a few hours. Come on, JLR.
Yeah.
I'm down. If you want to do a road trip to Idaho.
I have family who lives in that town.
What?
In the town I have family who lives in that town.
In Moscow?
Yeah.
You know what?
Moscow and Coeur d'Alene.
Sounds like you don't even have to pay for a hotel.
Yeah, they have an Airbnb actually. But
you guys can bunk with Gray Hughes and JLR. You'll be fine. It's perfect.
They're not.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys, I need to get going. It's 10:25. It's 3 hours and 20 minutes. Well, it's less than the 6-hour one yesterday, though.
Yeah. What happened to those 1 hour lives, Sonny? I'm kidding.
No. It's because it's Christmas, and now I'm just like, I can hang out longer. I want to hang out longer. But anyways, you guys, thanks, Charmaine. Thanks, Ivy. Thank, of course, to co-host here. Well, I don't know. Do I still love you? I don't know.
Oh, wait. Why wouldn't you love me?
Oh, there we go. Okay, there. Because I needed to see that. Just waiting for you. But anyways, thank you guys in chat. Thank you, Travis. Happy birthday again to your wife.
Yeah.
I'm sure 99 looks great on her. No, just kidding.
God.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, he married a younger woman.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Travis.
What?
I apologize for them.
No. Travis, he's too busy eggnogged up and spiked eggnog. He's good. He won't even
strike that from the record.
Yeah, strike that from the record. That's funny. Okay, you guys, take care. Have a good night, Deb. See you guys. Thank you, Mama. Thank you, everyone.
Good night,
have a good night. Okay, and we're out of here. This is Sunny Justice and Aspen Connor from It's a Crime and Shame, wishing you all a good